What up, people? You are live and direct on Petty Sports, the podcast, brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, the host, Mr. Famous Fees. They call me Facts. I'm here live with my man Adam. Holla at him.
What's going on, man? We get a little classical today. Loving the soundtrack, gentlemen. Here on a Tuesday. Appreciate everybody that's sticking with us from the normal Wednesday crowd. I know you saw it on the thumbnail. You see it on the screen. Call the damn show. We got the phone on point today. Great lineup. Amazing show on deck. You already know, greatest sports podcast in Atlanta. Fees, break it down for us, man.
Man, y'all, please hit us up. That's why he gave you the number. We got all these NBA trades on deck. It's been on fire all day long. This has been nuts. But, man, we got a whole lot of NFL action for you. I know y'all ready for it. Hall of Fame game coming up on Thursday night. We got to start this fantasy sports breakdown. Fantasy football. It's all the way live and direct. We doing the quarterbacks and the running backs tonight.
Yeah, all the beef.
Oh, yeah. So we got an action-packed show. As always, man, get y'all popcorn ready. Go ahead and strap in. Watch us. Get you something to drink on. Get a stick, man. Let's get it. What you got for off the top?
Yeah, man. So a local legend, guys, if you're familiar with the Atlanta area, broadcasting, reporting from WSB TV, Jovita Moore, they actually broke a story the other day about her. So she does have an aggressive brain cancer that she did release to the public, telling us her story. And, you know, this is tough to see for someone that contributes to the community every day, and especially being in this area for the past 30 years. I mean, she's been broadcasting for well over 30 years in the game. And just to know that she was confident enough to break this to everybody. And I mean, we hate to say it, but you know, we know the time is going to come eventually, and she just kind of wanted to, I guess, ease us into, you know, it was tough to see, not something that I expected to see, you know, on Twitter a few days ago, but as soon as I did, I said, man, we got to pay homage. This is a legend in the Atlanta area. She does a lot for the community. I mean, informing people every single day, and it's bigger than sports, you know, being a lady in the broadcasting game. But you know, it's tough to see. Tell me how you feel about it, Fees.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I've been here, I moved here in 98.
Yep.
Left and went to school, came back in 2007. I mean, basically, for almost all the time that I've been here, it's been Jovita on that TV.
Yep.
I mean, even from the times that I've been like, I don't even want to watch the news. And like, when I do flip it, like, okay, we got to find her. Like, man, she's just a staple. It's like I saw the news like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, you feel like some people are supposed to be there forever. Like, I mean, the news is devastating.
Yep.
Like, I really hate to hear it. I mean, it's like it's nothing you can do.
Right. Yeah, in 07, too. She's really iconic, man. 07, she was on the 40 under 40 list, and also for the Georgia Trend magazine, actually on that list. And then Jezebel's magazine as 50 most beautiful. So, I mean, she's definitely been iconic at her position. And, you know, just being in the broadcasting game as a lady, that's a strong position. You know, that's something we're fighting for every day. So, major tribute to her. And obviously, I think we should keep everybody updated on how things go with her, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. As things, as stuff happens and stories break, man, we'll definitely keep y'all up on that.
Right.
Yeah, man. So we got to jump into this thing.
Oh, yes.
It's so real.
Right off the diving board.
Everybody has been clocking the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, it's been going ham. We thought that the Russell Westbrook move was already huge. I had a whole lot to tell you about that. Then today happened. I couldn't even get my notes together for the show for people coming to L.A.
Yeah.
Then they signed everybody. So, I mean, before we get into all the rest of the signings, we're just going to start with the basics here.
Yeah.
How will Braun, the Brow, and Brody coexist?
I know you felt good to read that line, man. That was cute when I saw that in the lineup. So let's start with, we see the three guys there on the screen. So let's start with the man himself that probably everybody is thinking about, not Russ. Let's talk about LeBron. What does this mean for him? Obviously, we see LeBron's getting older. You know, time is going on. His body's breaking down, and his motor's just not what it used to be. But he doesn't have to be as physical. We know Westbrook, the most physical point guard we've ever seen. And this takes some pressure off LeBron as well. I feel like LeBron will be able to feel confident when he's not on the floor, knowing that Westbrook can at least run the offense. I'm not going to maybe bank on you to hit some huge shots or maybe turn this game around, but I know you won't lose it for me, you know? And especially going back to being physical, I mean, we know that's a big part of LeBron's game, and LeBron will also be able to have more of those open looks to himself as well, because we know Westbrook I think he's the best passer in the NBA right now, 11 plus assists last year per game. We know what Westbrook can do in that category. Now let's talk about Anthony Davis, another guy who's kind of, you know, his body's been breaking down, and I'll go go on record and say it. Really, the only reason AD was able to stay healthy for that finals run is because he got 4 months off. The whole league got that time off, and it benefited the Lakers really well. We know that it possibly wouldn't have went that way if the bubble didn't happen. But again, takes the physicality off of him. He'll get more open looks. And when you bring Westbrook in, he's a smart guy. I feel like this is maybe the first time in a while that LeBron and maybe even Anthony Davis have a player that is maybe equally as intelligent as them, on a basketball IQ level. So I do like the move in that aspect. And then let's talk about Russell Westbrook. So now you got two extreme weapons at your disposal, right? We know Russ has played with Harden. He's played with KD. He's played with Beal. He's played with Paul George and all these other stars, right? But here's the thing is people really want to sit here and try to say, oh, he's had so many opportunities to win one with this team and win one with that team. But in my opinion, when it was KD, I don't think KD's on the level that he is now. Like, KD was still up and coming. Yes, he had already put himself like in the books as an all-timer. I know you love that phrase there. But KD wasn't what he is today, And then when you look at how Westbrook is going to impact the team overall, we know Westbrook's a 20-point-a-night guy, right? But he doesn't have to be that. I feel like with these Lakers, he could be a 13, maybe 15-point guy, but he's going to give you 13, 14, 15 assists. He's going to give you double-digit rebounds. So we know he is a walking triple-double, a Swiss Army knife, a stat machine for these LA Lakers, man. So, but the thing is, when you look at, people talk about, okay, is LeBron potentially going to be able to coexist like you just asked about that?
Yeah.
Is he going to have the patience, rather, when the plot gets thick in the playoffs? Because Russell Westbrook, we know, dries up when the postseason comes around. We'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, the three of them, that's I think how they'll mesh there.
I mean, I think the coexisting it's actually kind of like a fairy tale thing. It's not as difficult to see them coming together as what people are actually trying to make it seem. I mean, in the past couple of seasons, LeBron has been in LA for 2-3 seasons now, 3 years. His 3-point percentage has increased in the last 2 seasons, which he'll be sitting back to shoot quite a few more of those. He started taking more, and he started hitting more. Anthony Davis, his 2 best years with the Pelicans were in 2016 and 2017 when he was playing with Drew Holiday, Rajon Rondo, and Boogie. When he has facilitating point guards, much like Russ, that's when he eats, averaging 28 and 11 over those 2 seasons. Those were by far his best 2 years, over the course of a whole season. So now you look at Russell Westbrook, he really thrives in a situation when he's got really good big men with him. I mean, just look at what he did for Steven Adams. You would not know who Steven Adams was if he did not play with Westbrook.
I could agree with that.
I mean, Westbrook's numbers increased along with Steven Adams coming in because of how well he complements a true big man.
Correct.
I mean, Steven Adams got there in 2013, started playing significant minutes in 2014. When he started playing significant minutes, Russell Westbrook's numbers went up, way up. He went from 21-8 a game to 28-1. His assists went up. His rebounding went up. It's not a mystery what's going to happen with him and Anthony Davis out there. Russ crashes to the basket. He drops a dime, leaves it right in front of the rim. Anthony Davis gets easy points off of dunks. He'll get 5 or 6 dunks right at the front of the rim every game, just for the mere fact that you've got to converge on Russ. Otherwise, he's going to just straight dunk on you.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you have to come over.
Right.
And he's a very willing passer.
Right.
He's going in full steam so he can actually draw the defense. But if you look at him at the Wizards, we always talk about Chris Paul going to places, and they always are better. He went to the Wizards. They missed the playoffs, so 25-47 before Russ got there, and that was with Beal, and Beal was doing his thing before Russ got there.
Yep, actually had a crazy scoring year before that also.
Yeah. Russ walked in the door. They made the playoffs. They lost in the first round, but he played extremely well. Bradley Beal's scoring and his field goal percentage actually increased since Russ was there.
Yep.
And center Thomas Bryant, his points and field goal percentage also increased playing with Brody. Because, it's the way he presses. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely going to mesh with the three of them, and that was before we got to all the rest of them.
Right.
Originally the next question was going to be, what moves should the Lakers make to facilitate this trade?
Yeah.
And my God, did we all see what happened today? The Lakers picked up Dwight Howard, Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, Kent Bazemore, Carmelo Anthony, and just lately, the latest move was Kendrick Nunn. I mean, this squad has gotten ridiculous. I was going to ask if the guys that they got were enough, but that question is not even relevant any longer. Is this Team USA squad that the Lakers put together, is this team, I mean, are they absolutely the favorites to win the NBA championship?
Absolutely, they are not the favorites to win the NBA championship. Because I want to ask you a question. What do these signings actually bring to the table? I mean, yes, I know Ellington, Bazemore, and Ariza, they're kind of to me. They're shooting about 35% from downtown, and I know that benefits the Lakers in that aspect because they wanted to bring in probably quite a few people that could shoot the three ball. I mean, we know the Lakers did not shoot the ball at all very well from downtown last year, but the Lakers are now, because of their free agent moves, the oldest team in the NBA on average. 34 years old per player. Basically, man.
And that means what?
Where's your young talent? Where's your young talent that is now surging through the NBA? Where is that?
Who was the favorite last year?
What are we talking about?
Weren't they the favorites last year coming into the season?
And what happened?
Hey, they were the favorite last year, and this team is better than last year's team.
You think so?
To write them off.
With just bringing in all these players, it just makes you immediately up there.
I mean, look at who left and who came in.
Okay.
Are you to actually legit try to tell me that Alex Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Andre Drummond, and KCP are better than Westbrook, Melo, Ariza, Dwight, Bazemore, Ellington, and none?
I'll take Westbrook and put everyone else in a toss-up.
Those dudes are not better.
They're comparable. You're acting like you just had a complete remake and everyone's A plus, B plus now. No, bro, you're still rocking with an average B. I'd say C plus to B minus player average outside of your stars.
The other players weren't that good.
And I understand these moves because the Lakers did have the second best bench in the NBA, in the NBA last year. So I get those moves. But again, when you have your stars fall off the floor, there's just a bunch of guys to me, Fees. These are not guys that are going to immediately push you to the title. That's why I can't even sit here and say, oh, they're going to run away with the West. Absolutely not. So Denver's there next year.
Who is it that's supposed to beat them?
Denver's there next year.
A team with two guys?
Denver's got way more than two guys, bro. Way more than two guys.
Once you get past the two, who else you got?
They have players. Trust me, they will have players to compete with Los Angeles.
They don't have anyone that's any more than what LA got.
Okay, then we're just talking about a bunch of guys on guys. Actually, healthier guys with Denver than we're talking about guys with LA. Bron and AD are crippled, dude. They are crippled. And Westbrook being 32, a guy that's it's either 1,000 miles.
Old. First 34 was old. Now 32 is old.
I mean, you're getting up there, man. I'm just saying. And you've got a Westbrook who 4 teams in 4 years. It's either 1,000 miles or no miles with Westbrook. Is LeBron, like I just questioned, is LeBron going to have that patience when the plot thickens? Westbrook is averaging 19 points on 17 shots in his last 2 NBA playoff runs. That's that man running your offense. That's a recipe for a title.
Who was he?
Because it hasn't worked out. I just named it for you. Harden and KD. Beal.
He wasn't with KD in the last 2 playoff runs. Don't name off people that he wasn't playing with.
I'm talking about in general all the stars he's been with.
Very specific stats. And
you're talking about the last 2 years? Are you talking about the last 2 years? Is that what you're asking me about?
That's what you said.
Yeah, so that's what you're asking about. The last 2 years that I mentioned.
Yeah, so don't name KD. That was a long time ago.
Okay.
He was on teams where it was just him and one other guy. Mm-hmm. He wasn't taking the most shots, so there were only him and one other person to take shots. Who was supposed to take them?
So now 2 old guys and a bunch of C plus to B minus players are going to take him to the title?
2 old guys and a bunch of C.
Old and hurt gentlemen. AD has the body of a 35-year-old, Fees, and you know he does. Where was he this year, dude? LeBron's motor is running out.
They brought in the depth to come in and actually take minutes away. They can load manage AD. That was the whole purpose of bringing in all these players. None of them outside of Westbrook are going to be asked to play more than 30 minutes a game.
I don't even think they're valuable in 30, though. That's my thing, man. I wanted to be excited.
What you thought? I mean, who is it exactly?
Aren't these people?
You say the 2 players that Denver have are better than everyone on the Lakers roster, but you couldn't name a single other player because they're actually not better.
Because I'm talking that they're guys. We're talking about 2 healthy stars in Murray and Jokic could be better and will be better.
Because last I checked,
he's going to come back healthy. Okay, and look at Bron and AD coming off their injuries as well.
So how is it all of a sudden that Murray is better than everyone else? Because
I'm not saying he's better than everyone else. If you're healthy, you're gonna play better than a crippled star. That's common sense.
He missed way more time to AD. You can't possibly tell me that he's healthier.
He tore an ACL.
Is that what happened?
AD was crippled all year. All year, AD was consistently hurt. Jamal had a season-ending injury. AD was consistently hurt, like he always
last
is.
I checked, Hurt
like
is hurt.
I attested to the bubble.
The last I checked, Hurt
Being
is
in
hurt.
the bubble helped him come back to win that title.
Could you name me a single team in the NBA that did not have an injured superstar last year?
Yeah.
No one is healthy.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, Fees, I know. That's why everyone wants to put the asterisk
So
next to
you
the
can't
Bucks.
scream they're not healthy. No one was healthy.
But I'm saying,
The whole league was hurt.
are you gonna be able to hang in the thick? And I don't think you are. It's a bunch of guys, man.
The whole league was hurt.
You're not winning the finals.
You're saying it's a bunch
You're
of guys.
not going to outrun the East.
But you can't tell me
Not
who's
the
going to beat
Nets,
them.
Not the Bucks.
The Nets
and
are
the Bucks
healthy?
are better. Oh,
The
they
Nets
will
are
be.
healthy.
They will be, and they will have better players. Absolutely.
James
yes.
Harden and Kyrie Irving are some of the most injury-prone guys that we've seen.
Okay, so who are we going to compare then? KD and Westbrook? I think we know which one we were taking that, right?
They're
KD.
the only ones healthy. LeBron don't be hurt like that.
Oh, man.
You're giving a whole lot of credit to a bunch of injured people and then screaming injured on another team.
So you're going to give a whole lot of credit to two stars that have been hurt, and then you're going to scream Hail Mary for a bunch of guys.
Who are the two hurt stars?
LeBron and AD.
LeBron was there for the playoffs.
Yeah, but he didn't look very good.
He was playing
and we
by
know
himself.
that. So what are you going to do when he's playing by himself again?
He won't be. Russell Westbrook is not going to be hurt.
Oh, man. You're right. He's going to shrivel up like he does every other playoff
You
game,
screaming
man.
injury, now you're moving the goalposts. He's not going to be hurt.
I'm both ways. I claim both arguments from the beginning. Can he hang in the thick? And are you going to be able to stay healthy?
We've just been talking about injury to this point. What you're not going to do is move the goalposts to a whole nother discussion. He will be healthy. You know Russell Westbrook ain't coming out there to get hurt.
Yeah, but he'll shrivel, which would be kind of
That's a
just as bad
whole
as an
different
injury.
argument. You are screaming injury and they're too old.
Okay.
That man ain't going to be hurt.
Injury. All right, we'll put that up. That's up here. That's notched, right? But now we're talking about the overall. Okay, so the beginning question, are they finals favorites? No, they're not finals favorites.
Vegas doesn't agree with you.
I know Vegas doesn't. Hey, Vegas is playing with a lot of money too. Playing a lot of, that kind of. We're trying to make money from the show. They've got money from the bettors. So yeah, they're probably maybe they have a little more insight than me, Fees.
Vegas doesn't care about these injuries that you're mad at. You know who Vegas has?
Oh man,
The Nets, the Lakers, the Bucks, and the Golden State Warriors.
top 4 title odds.
Yeah.
Warriors at 4.
Yeah.
Lakers, Nets, Bucks, Warriors.
It was Nets Lakers, but that
Lakers.
was yesterday.
Okay.
That was before they grabbed the rest of the Toon Squad.
Yeah. Okay.
It's getting a little outlandish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're crazy with this injury argument.
What about Melo though? I mean, Melo took a while to find himself in Portland though. Is he just gonna elevate and just be that guy again for Los Angeles?
What does he have to elevate to? They don't need Melo to be 10 years ago, Melo. All they need Melo to do is come in off the bench and score. That's all we need to do is shoot.
So look, last year when they brought in Harrell and they got roasted for bringing him in because they didn't know what to do with him. They just brought in a whole slew of players. I'm just curious as to how they're actually going to contribute to the success of this Lakers team.
The team that the Lakers...
I see the guys. Trust me, I want to be happy for the trade. I was happy as hell with you. I was like, holy crap, Westbrook's of the Lakers.
I'll give it to you like this.
Horrible three-point shooter in Westbrook. Horrible three-point shooting team in the Lakers. Ball dominant in Westbrook. Ball dominant in LeBron. LeBron's going to be the one to take the step back. Let's be real. LeBron's going to be the bigger person and probably give Westbrook the team. At least give him the keys to the offense. Don't you agree? Do you see Westbrook stepping back?
No, I mean, it won't work if Westbrook is the one to step back.
Right.
LeBron will take the step back because, he's going to end up leaving and it's going to be Westbrook's team so he can stay home.
Nah. Yeah, well, that's going to be crazy.
Westbrook is going to play longer than LeBron stays.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
He's got
no.
plenty
It's just,
more time.
Right, no, I'm not saying no. I'm just thinking in general, like, wow, to think that's kind of.
I'm not saying it's going to happen like at the end of next season, but I'm saying when LeBron leaves, it's going to be Westbrook's team.
The Lakers will be run by Russell Westbrook. I don't know how I feel about that. That doesn't sit right with me.
Look at all the moves that they just made. Westbrook and all the signings that they made today, that team could make a 7th or 8th seed in the Eastern Conference in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Now you're adding LeBron and AD to that team.
Wait, say that again. Say that one more time.
Westbrook and the additions that they made today, you could just take them, and that team could have made the playoffs in the East.
I disagree,
They'd have
bro.
been a 7th or 8th. I'm not saying they would have been like number 2.
I mean,
that team would have snuck in the bottom.
Dwight Howard, no offense, 8 rebounds a year. Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, yeah, he gives you a little over 40% from downtown. Kent Bazemore, Melo, It's just a bunch of guys, Fees.
And none. Along with Westbrook. That team in the Eastern Conference
Westbrook
could sneak in. That team in the Eastern Conference could be the 8th seed. They wouldn't go anywhere, but that team could make the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, because the bottom of the East is so soft. Yeah, I mean, come on now. Just put them in the West. Are they a team in the West?
A playoff team is a playoff team.
But come on. We know the competition is better in the West.
You just mad at everybody. Westbrook is hooping. His scoring comes down based off of who he's playing with. He didn't have to score with Bradley Beal out there.
Right.
He'll run the score. He'll average 30 a game. You've seen him do it.
Right.
He's averaged 30-point triple-double. He can turn it up if he needs to. Melo gives you what he gives you. He's definitely not meh. No one's asking that man to carry a team.
And
he did his job with the Portland Trailblazers. He was a contributor to that team. We're not going to act like he was just out there living off his name.
I mean, yeah, he was a contributor.
You were scoffing at everybody like every single player they got sucks.
I'm not saying they suck. They're just guys.
You just meh.
I'll give them C+, B-.
You can't give me anyone that logically is going to beat them. You're just like, no, they're not.
What do you mean? I just gave you 3 teams.
Bunch of teams.
Nets, Bucks, Denver.
Bucks, I'll give
me my damn Hawks against them. Totally kidding.
Oh, my God.
Let us get a star, though, and talk to me again in a couple weeks and we make a move.
I'm going to kick this bottle over. You've been talking about the Hawks.
Oh, yeah. Shut the camera off. We got to go. No, man. Now, we'll see, though. We'll see. Trust me. Fees. I want to think that the Lakers will make this pop, but, I mean, I just can't. I can't. I really can't.
Yeah, man. It ain't really a whole lot that's in their way. I mean, what? We were talking about the Clippers. Kawhi is pretty much out for the entire year.
Yeah, because of the surgery.
Denver's got Jamal Murray coming back off an ACL, and you saw clearly without him, that team was not that good. Jamal Murray is not enough to beat this Lakers team by himself.
Well, absolutely not by himself. You act like LeBron would be enough by himself to beat it. Come on, now he missed the playoffs. Who said that?
That's not even relevant.
But we're comparing stars.
That's not relevant.
But we're comparing stars.
That whole... Leave that. You're talking about LeBron's not enough. We're not talking about LeBron doing it by himself. You're saying that this one guy makes Denver better. They're not.
I never said one guy made Denver better. I said we're comparing a lot of guys, and we're talking about 2 healthy stars versus 2 stars that are not healthy. And they're older. They're older than Jokic and Murray.
There's no way you're going to give me... I'm not giving you Murray as a healthy star. He's coming off an ACL.
He'll be healthy.
That ain't healthy.
He'll be healthier.
Well, then you can assume AD will be healthy.
No, it's proven AD's not been healthy.
I mean, this man's coming off an ACL. What if he step on something again? You're just like, on the what if?
He said, what if he steps on something again? You made me laugh, Fees.
You can't just give somebody health and then not the other because they're coming off of an offseason. That man tore his ACL. He ain't healthy.
Colts over Steelers with a busted Wentz, Wesley? Hold on, man. Y'all going to get people going crazy in here.
Jesus, but it's 8:24. They wilding with that. Man, go ahead and count us down. Let's pay homage to the late, great Bean.
You already know, man. 3, 2, 1. Kobe. R.I.P. to the Mamba. The Black Mamba.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, before we change gears, one last note on that, just because I know there's a lot of people that are really going, well, they already are. A lot of folks are just completely like, man, how much help does LeBron need to win? I know he gets the rap for it, and you know I'm not a fan nor an apologist of LeBron. I just wanted to just highlight the fact that he can't take all the blame for it because this is actually what the Lakers do. It's what they have done. It's what they always have done. I mean, did we not miss the part where Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor all played for the Lakers at the same time? Then they had the Showtime Lakers. Then you remember 2004 with Kobe, Shaq, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton? Or what about 2012 when it was Kobe, Pau Gasol, Metta World Peace? Who else did they bring in? Dwight Howard and Steve Nash.
So what are you claiming?
I'm saying this is what the Lakers do. They buy teams to win a championship. Doesn't always work, but it's not actually. I'm just saying it's not completely LeBron is stacking the deck. Right. The Lakers do this.
Yeah.
They always have done this.
Yeah. But Kobe, Pau, Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, and Metta World Peace were all still extremely formidable, each of them in the starting 5 at their position. That is not the case with Los Angeles.
Jesus
at all
Christ,
right
you're way off the point.
How? That's what you just claimed.
All I said was they stacked it. They like this to get as many star players in as they can.
Correct, but you're also thinking
I wasn't comparing the teams at all. I'm just saying that they do this.
Right, but because of the scheme you just named, you're assuming that it's probably going to be continued success because they go get guys and build championships, buy teams like you just said?
I said they buy teams and they don't always win, but they do this.
Just like this team won't win. I'm just glad we're on the same page there.
The 2004 team didn't win. You're not listening.
You said 2012. What do you mean?
I said 2004, named off the players, and then I gave you 2012 and named off the players. Neither one of those teams won championships. All I was referring to is the fact that they stacked teams.
Even better.
Jesus.
Even better. Stacked and lost. Just like this Lakers
Take your headphones off and clear the mirrors
Just like this Lakers team is going to. Just like this Lakers team is going to. Now, you're making my point for me. It's okay. We'll come back.
We're going to change gears to the gridiron.
Just Fees and Adam arguing about the Lakers.
Man, so the NFL is finally back. I know y'all hype about it. You should be. If you ain't, I'm going to give you some juice for you. Because, I mean, I've been waiting a long time.
Wesley, Colts were going to the playoffs before Wentz got hurt.
The Hall of Fame game, Thursday night. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. So, I mean, we know how these games go in preseason, especially the Hall of Fame game. It's an extra preseason game for the two teams that play it. What should we be looking for out of Dallas and Pittsburgh just from an improvement standpoint?
So, I think the biggest story about this game is Dak Prescott, coming back from the injury. He's obviously not going to be out there for a lot of possessions. Like we said earlier today, maybe a possession or two. He'll get a few good throws in, probably call a couple deep plays for him, get him out of the gun, maybe a little bootleg, just really get some reps under his belt because Dak Prescott hasn't seen the field in a while. And I guess what better team to do it against than the Steelers in the preseason, And then you also look at, the Cowboys defense. They're really going to be playing, one, it's the preseason, but two, at that, a very sobering offense, to say the least, And Najee Harris will be back there, for Pittsburgh. I just feel like we're going to be kind of taking a look at Najee, seeing how he's going to adjust for the few reps he's going to have, seeing Dak come back, and then also, Zeke Elliott as well. What is he going to bring to the table?
Playing.
Oh, he's not going to play in preseason at all?
No.
So when is he cleared, actually, then?
They didn't give us that much info. They just said he's not playing.
Okay, so
his shoulder issue.
Oh, you did tell me that.
Yeah.
What, like a shoulder strain or something in his throwing shoulder?
He got it in practice a few days ago.
Okay. Well, so shoot. Well, who's his backup then? Because the Red Rifle's in Chicago. Who's the Cowboys' backup? I'm not going to pull that out real quick. But he's going to be the one getting reps, obviously. But either way, Zeke Elliott, that's going to be another thing to look for, Zeke, because, as we're talking about these running backs later, it feels like he's here one game, gone the next. And I know everyone wants to say, O-line, but when do we start holding both of these guys accountable? So, I mean, we'll see what happens in the in the preseason. Don't really know. A winner doesn't matter, but
oh, no.
I'm not even going to give you a score prediction. I mean, it's just good to have football back, So we'll see a couple of improvements in those areas, though.
Oh, no. That's not what you watch a preseason. Especially not the first one.
Right.
I mean, really all they want to see, like, out of Dallas, you just want to see that the offensive line is starting to really get a good push off on the run.
Yep.
See if you get maybe 2 possessions out of Zeke with, like, 4 to 5 carries. If he looks like he's actually got a little explosion and he's hitting the hole. I mean, for the defense, you just want to see them actually start to gain an identity because Dallas's defense was god-awful last season.
Oh, horrible.
I mean, 8 of their 11 picks last year were defensive, so all of those rookies are going to get extended minutes in this preseason game. So, like, you want to see the defensive schemes look like they're coming together. You want to see Dan Quinn live up to the aura that he carried out from underneath Pete Carroll's bosom that actually was just Pete Carroll. But that's what they want to see. I mean, if he's ever had a chance to, like, he's got to prove himself. Maybe not just in this one preseason game, but Dan Quinn is under the radar for his so-called defensive expertise.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got to turn this thing around for him.
Yeah.
I mean, for Pittsburgh, if you get a few reps out of Big Ben, you just want to see if that arm is still there. He seemed like he was really having trouble pushing that ball down the field. Like, you can just see the age. You want to see if Najee is able to transfer the type of running and bruising running he was doing at Alabama to the NFL. So, he's definitely going to have to carry the torch. That defense, like, they carried them for the most part. They were 25th in total offense, 15th in the pass last year, and last in rushing. So, that was Pittsburgh just could not put points on the board.
Absolutely not. Not at all. That's why I said, a sobering offense, a really pedestrian offense. And, you look like It's just another one of those teams that now it feels like, and it's kind of like the Saints were too, when you're held back by your quarterback. Like Breeze was not good for the last few years in the league. Big Ben has not been good enough to get them to that land that they want to achieve. They want to be in the Super Bowl. They are building a decent roster. We know about the defense. The offense is not a slouch, but when Big Ben is running it, it looks pedestrian. And that's where they're at right now.
Wide receivers, and
exactly.
He's not getting them the ball.
Juju, Claypool, Deontay Johnson. Now you got Najee back there. I mean, hell, imagine if they still had James Conner. I mean, they'd have a formidable backfield as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, really, what you really want to see out of Pittsburgh, since Big Ben isn't going to play very much,
right?
You need to see growth out of Mason Rudolph, or for whatever reason you picked up Dwayne Haskins. I'm still just floored by the fact that they even signed him, but I think that had to do with the fact that he actually knows Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Like, personally. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. But y'all need a quarterback, like a backup quarterback, because it's almost a foregone conclusion that Big Ben will miss extended time every season. So you really need to be paying attention to your quarterback. And it's really a shame. So now the other element to this Hall of Fame game is the actual Hall of Fame, because that's going to be a little bit more of a spectacle than the game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be watching the game like it's a playoff game, because I ain't seen no football in so long. But who is the most surprising of the 8 Hall of Fame inductees?
I got to say Drew Pearson. You know, I was looking through everybody, and at first, off the top of my head, I was like, well, I mean, you know, Fenneca, Manning, you know, Johnson, and I was just going through everybody. But then I was looking at Drew Pearson, and it just kind of made me wonder, because I'd never heard of him. I was wondering, you know, just the stats and everything. So I went and looked, and 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time Super Bowl champion, never had more than 8 receiving touchdowns in a season. And I'm not taking anything away from it, but when you're talking about Torrey Holt's not in the Hall of Fame, when you're talking about Hines Ward, when you're talking about Reggie Wayne, those 3 damn receivers are not in the Hall of Fame. But Drew Pearson got to go. You know, I don't understand stuff like that. And then when you look that, yeah, he played for the Cowboys in the 70s and the 80s, so I feel like maybe that was some sort of push behind it. We know the big brand. And
it says they give the seniors have their piece. So you get 3 recent players and 3 seniors.
So I guess people that have, I guess, taken a minute to get voted in, I guess get written on.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the distinction is, whether it's like they've been retired for a particular amount of time, but I know they have 2 separate categories because their numbers are just different.
Yeah, he only had 2 seasons with over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, like, I mean, they didn't play as many games for 1, and 2, they didn't really throw the ball.
Yeah, well,
their numbers are just not comparable for multiple reasons.
Yeah,
it's not even fair to compare their numbers.
Fair enough then, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't mad at Drew Pearson just for that reason, because he fell in that category over there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the only person that I was really surprised about, and people will probably get their panties all ruffled up about it.
That's what we do here at Petty Sports.
Calvin Johnson.
What?
Not that he made it. Dude. I'm not surprised that he made it. I'm surprised that he went in first ballot. The T.O. had to wait till his 3rd rotation. He's not better than T.O. He didn't even play long enough to get that distinction for first ballot. He is an all-time great wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He is not first ballot. You don't get rewards for retiring early.
Yeah. Fair enough.
That was your decision.
Fair enough. Still crazy.
You want to retire early, then retire early. That don't mean you're still first ballot. But then you got folks like T.O. Like T.O.'s top 3 in everything.
Yep.
And waited three rotations.
Yep. No, that's fair. I can't.
It's even more disrespectful to T.O. that he's getting in now.
Yeah. No, I can't argue that, bro. That is facts. 100%.
It's like they're just doing stuff to take jabs at him now. Last year it was Moss. Now it's Calvin Johnson. He couldn't be mad at Moss because he should have been first ballot too. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, hold up, Calvin Johnson?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, I hated to see Calvin walk away that early too. But I mean, sometimes you just get tired of, same old with a team that you have no hope with at that point, which was clearly the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, man. It's really a shame that it had to go down like that. Barry Sanders put up numbers that are still up in the top, though.
Yeah.
Like, in his short period of time, he actually could have passed Walter Payton as the all-time leading rusher at the time. I mean, that was a little different.
Yeah.
he did retire early, but it's like Calvin didn't get to the point where it was like, okay, you got Jerry, Randy, Calvin.
Right.
He wasn't right there. And now people since then are even passing him. So, I think that's just craziness. So, outside of who we were surprised at, Who is the biggest snub that's still waiting to get in?
Still currently waiting to get into Kansas. I had to do some research on this because I wanted to, pick some guys that have just been out of the league for a little while and a lot of guys that I was able to actually watch. But when you comb through and go through plenty of lists and see guys that are still waiting to get their shot in Cliff Branch, wide receiver for the Oakland Raiders, had a huge career, played from 72 to 85. A lot of people say he was the best deep threat in the NFL at that time. And when you look at his numbers on the multiple runs he had, 3 straight All-Pros from 74 to 76, almost 160 catches, 3,100 yards, 34 scores, and 42 outings. I mean, the dude was able to ball, no question about it. Easily 20 yards a catch when he was out there, and a 3-time champion. So, it makes you wonder, a guy that was that consistent. We talk about, there's a lot of uproar about Edelman, and it's like, wow, but this guy actually balled consistently in the regular season and in the post and won it all. So it's kind of just a step up, But, again, it's like you look at Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Hines Ward. It's like, what's going on with these guys? When are they going to get their shot? And rest in peace to Cliff Branch, passing away in 2019. I hated to hear about that. But I do got to say Cliff Branch for probably my biggest snub waiting to still get into the Hall.
Okay. I got 2 of them, actually. First of all, being Unk's brother.
Sterling Sharp. Yes, highly agreed.
Sterling Sharp, he only did 7 years, but in his 7 years, the man had almost 600 receptions for over 8,000 yards and 65 touchdowns. He put up numbers. 5 Pro Bowls.
Oh, my God, 65 touchdowns.
3-time first-team All-Pro.
Yeah.
If you made first-team All-Pro 3 times, and now you must understand that we are talking about an era where Jerry Rice was still the man. Like, he was right there with him the entire time that he was in the league. Outside, before he had the injury, it's like nobody was putting up the kind of numbers he was when he retired outside of the couple of guys at the top of the list already. He should have been in a long time ago. Now there are multiple receivers that have just completely destroyed his numbers.
Right.
But in the amount of time that he did it and when he retired, he should have gotten in quite some time ago.
Yep.
My other guy was Tony Baselli. A lot of folks really actually... Like, he's very recognized in all football circles as one of the best offensive linemen that we've ever seen. The dude was in the 90s all-decade team, 3 times first-team All-Pro. He also did 7 years, 5 Pro Bowls. His numbers are almost the same as Sterling Sharp's as an offensive lineman. The dude made the all-decade team in the 90s. And just for reference, why that's actually so significant, if we all remember who is the best offensive line to ever grace the NFL, that would be the 90s Cowboys. Yeah. He made the all-decades team over players from that team.
Yep.
It's nothing short of amazing.
Right,
the dude's he's in the Jacksonville Hall of Fame, the College Football Hall of Fame. It's like, man, show that man some love. I was going to be mad at Alan Finica over him, but Finica was a senior, so they're not being measured on the same level. So I had to let that one die.
I'm glad you didn't bring up Finica, man. That's my dude. I think he well deserved that spot. Finica's a G.
If we were going him over Baselli, then no.
Well, yeah.
It's not it wasn't to be compared.
Right.
They didn't go in on the same side.
Yeah, and now I know, and I really didn't know that they did have like a senior class, but now it makes sense because it makes you wonder why you do see like a Manning and then you see, a Drew Pearson. It's like, where were these guys?
Yeah.
But they did play obviously a while back compared to the more modern guys.
That's why they're doing that.
Cool, man.
Yep, so man, we're going to take our talents all the way back to the hardwood. Team USA, they defeated Spain in the quarterfinals early this morning behind a monster game from Kevin Durant.
Yes, they did.
Is Team USA finally on track to bring home the gold medal that the entire country is expecting?
I am happy to say that we are definitely trending in that direction. And when you look at Kevin Durant with the 29 points and in 31 minutes and had 4 other players hitting double figures for him, he finally got a lot of help. All of Team USA came together. They were able to mesh, and it's kind of all common sense now. We saw them get knocked by France, but the last few games we've played, we're winning by well over double digits. We look comfortable. We've got the swagger in our step, and we're that Team USA that's been here to win gold medals every year. We'll settle for a silver or settle for a bronze, won't be happy about it, but we've easily got the players to go win a gold. And when you look at the fact that we were able to shoot 48% from the field, that is huge. And we had all of our guys, like I said, we were playing as a team, we were fluid, and we just looked like we were there for the moment. I'm happy with Team USA, and I am expecting a gold medal now. I really am, because you see how there was a lot of talk about the exhibition games and then France beats us. But I think we needed a little bit of a hiccup in the beginning of the actual season, because we're like, exhibition, whatever. We're fine. We know what we're going to do when the actual rounds come around. Well, no, France is there too. But then you go on the next few games after, you feel better. So, I'm happy for USA. Let's go get the gold medal, 100%.
They look much, much better, but they are still starting very slow.
Yes,
they were down by 10 in the second quarter.
Yes.
And Ricky Rubio just abused them. That was probably the best game the man's ever played in his career.
Yeah.
Dropped 38 points on 65% from the field.
Dude was looking like Luka Doncic. Jesus.
Rubio might have given the NBA the blueprint for how you slow down Dame, make him play defense.
Yeah.
Dame just kind of disappeared. He did have a couple of bright spots in the game, but for the most part, Rubio's production took Dame out of the game.
Yep.
He could not guard him, and it's not like, it's like, it's Steph. Like, no, it's Rubio. He's never done this in the league, but he did it against a team full of superstars. They did rebound in the third quarter. They came back in the second quarter and tied it up before the half.
Right. KD had a big third quarter, too.
Yeah, KD had a big third quarter. Tatum showed up near the end of the game. They did get strong performances out of a lot of people, and it looks like what they're finally starting to do now is just run the offense through KD,
exactly,
Dame, and Devin Booker.
Your best, think about it, the three best shooters arguably in the NBA today, KD, Dame, and Booker. Let's just be real about it.
Okay, these are the guys who are going to be taking the lion's share of the shots. Everyone else work off of them.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it took them a minute to really find the identity of the team. Like, okay, somebody's got to stop deferring. So it's like, you three, do what you do. The rest of us will figure out how to fit in. So, they got the semifinals on Thursday against Australia. This Australia team just completely dog-walked Argentina this morning. They beat them 97-59. It was like they're not going to come out there expecting for Team USA to run through them, because they did play them in the pool play. It was like they're familiar and they're confident. I don't think any of these teams are actually scared of them. Granted, I don't see Argentina. Well, I don't see Australia beating us on Thursday.
Not at all.
The only thing I'm concerned with is the gold medal game, which will be Friday night. That's going to be a Friday night game at 7:00. The gold medal game is more than likely going to be against Slovakia or Slovenia. I'm just destroying the country. Against Luka's team.
He said against Luka's team.
How about that?
Man,
I knew what it was in my head. It just ain't come out, and I still don't know. But but the way that Ricky Rubio was able to just completely tear this team a new one, I'm concerned with what Luka's squad will do, because he's not going to stop pressing the gas. If they're going to get behind, they may not be able to catch back up, and which is absurd, seeing as though we have so many stars.
Right.
It's just like, if you allowed Rubio to do this to you, what is Luka going to do?
Yeah, but also too, let's think about it. Like, we do have a lot of stars, but we've also said it a lot in the NBA. A lot of superstars don't play defense. That's why we really praise two-way players, guys like Kawhi, guys like Giannis, guys like LeBron, who will win Defensive Player of the Years and be on, all NBA first defensive team. Like, that's why, people kind of wonder, why do you always mention that? That stuff matters. When you're able to score and play defense, like you said, Dame got slowed down because he had to react on the defensive side of the ball, and he wasn't able to. Thank God we still won, but Rubio exposed him, let's be real.
He did.
Yeah.
He better hope he doesn't see a whole lot of that next season.
Sheesh, dude.
Especially if he decides to leave and you go to a new team and they start doing that to you.
Yeah, Ricky Rubio, brother.
If Rubio can do it, there's a lot of players in the NBA that can do it.
Yeah. If Rubio is, we got some faster guys out there than Rubio. Trust us.
Yeah. Better learn how to play some defense, Dame. Kronos, whatever your name was in Space Jam 2. You better find some defense. I don't know what to tell you. So check it out, man. We're going to take a second. We're going to let Mike Beasley pay these bills, let you know what it is. Man, y'all stay tuned. Keep it locked. We're coming right back with some more hot fire info for you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Famous Facts Feeds, ladies and gentlemen. You tuned in watching Petty Sports Wednesday Night Edition. Like always, brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studio. You're at the table with Famous Facts Feeds and Adam Lewis doing what they do, going in hard on the latest and greatest out here in the sports world. Hey, call in. You know what I'm saying? Get at us. 678-871-9602. 678-871-9602. That's how you can be a part of the show tonight. Let us hear from you out there. Don't be shy. You know what I'm talking about? Yes, we're on all kind of different platforms out here. Facebook, YouTube. Just go to Petty Sports with a Z. Petty Sports with a Z. You know what I'm saying? That way you can be a part of the fun and what go on. You subscribe to those pages. Whenever we go hot, you'll be informed and you can tune in right away. Won't miss a beat. You know what I'm saying? Go to the different platforms for the podcast shows where you can watch all of the previously aired programming that we've had here for Petty Sports. And you can hear these guys in your ride on the way home, around the house while you're cleaning, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and type in Petty Sports. Petty Sports with a Z. You know what I'm saying? You know how to spell it, because I know you guys listening. We watching the numbers do their thing, so we appreciate all the support out there. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it. Continue to like, follow, share. Sharing is caring. You know what I'm saying? Hit them thumbs up, those emojis. Let us know how you really feel. Stay at us in the chat room. Hey, Miss Shaw, boy, I see you, girl. Yeah. Jamila, still talking about them Steelers. Hey, what's good, Wesley? Yeah, man, appreciate it. All the love. Go to kingsbroadcasting.com. Spend some money. Support black business, support black businesses, cause we do ATL. Hold back to the regular scheduled program.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that, Beezy. Man, we're going to jump right into the Petty Sports Fast Five. We got so much information for you. We had to truncate it a little bit. So, man, we just going to jump right into it. Carson Wentz is out 5 to 12 weeks after undergoing foot surgery. What does this mean for the Colts in 2021?
It shows you that they're still soul searching for their quarterback position. I mean, Andrew Luck retiring, he had fans up in arms, wanting season tickets back. And, but Andrew Luck told you, look, I was tired of being hurt. I was tired of going through this. And you had to respect him for it. So you take a shot in the dark with Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers was okay. But again, at the end of the day, when it mattered most, Phillip Rivers fell through. Jacoby Brissett was obviously not the answer. Didn't even mention him because it didn't matter. And then you look at Carson Wentz. And I've respected the Wentz move because, like we talked, it's crazy. The very first show I was on here, we talked about Wentz signing with the Colts. That was the first topic we ever chopped up, man. And now he's hurt before he can even play a damn snap for the same team we first debated about. It's sad. I mean, I'm just going to go on record now. Wentz needs to hang it up. He's been injured too many times. He's had one season where he's actually performed. All respect, man, but you continue to get hurt. So this is terrible for the Colts. Probably missing the playoffs after this.
I mean, I didn't have them making the playoffs anyway. And if you look at their schedule through the first 5 weeks, just say he's the only missed 5 weeks.
It's hell.
They got Seattle, then the Rams, at Tennessee, at Miami, at Baltimore. With a healthy Wentz, I was only picking them to win one game. They were going to beat Miami, and that was it. Without Wentz, it's not different. They could still beat Miami without him. And other than that, it's nothing. If he comes back after 5 games, the fate of the team won't be any different, even though people will try to say otherwise. If he does miss the whole 12, they're just going to be completely cooked. I mean, they'll only go 3-4 in that stretch. They got Houston, San Fran, Tennessee, the Jets, Jacksonville, Buffalo, and Tampa. They could beat Houston, the Jets, and the Jags, maybe, just because they have enough defense. But anyway you swing that, they were only going to win 4 out of their first 12 games anyway. The rest of the wins were coming at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's tough for Colts fans, man. I feel that. I really do. You have a loaded roster. And I'll say it again. I said it last season. I'll say it again. The Colts should have went and got Matt Ryan. Call me crazy. They should have went and got Matt Ryan at the trade deadline last year. There were rumors about Ryan and Julio leaving. I said, look, go ahead, Falcons. Colts got players. They'll send you some. They want a quarterback back. That's a Super Bowl roster being held back by a piss-poor quarterback position.
Could at least got Jimmy G. He's healthier than that guy.
Yeah, but that's a slippery slope because then you look at Jimmy and it's like, okay, but how healthy is he really? Yeah, one healthy year Super Bowl, but you can kind of say the same about Carson.
No. He won no playoff games.
He said no. Very true. I'll give you that.
So, man, could Buffalo be actually headed to Austin, Texas and be the Austin Bills?
Oh, that is ugly. That would be their name. Damn, they can't even be called like the Austin Bills.
Yes.
It sounds like a CEO's first name of like a leather boot company or something. But no, not the Austin Bills. That is terrible, dude. Absolutely terrible. Bills Mafia will not go for this. I'll tell you that. Those Bills fans are crazy. This is a surging franchise who now has a top quarterback, a top receiver. They're going to be a contender every year. But the reason it would make sense, NFL's a business. We're going to be talking about the SEC here in just a second. Teams are going everywhere.
Yeah.
College players are getting paid. The whole sports world is changing right in front of us. So, I mean, if they moved, wouldn't surprise me, because then you'd have the Houston Texans, you'd have the Dallas Cowboys, and then now you would have the
Austin
Bills. Jesus. As long as the uniforms can stay the same. Oh, God, don't give them some orange or I don't know, man. I'm not here for it. I do not want them to move. Please stay in Buffalo.
It's absolutely a possibility, and as I started to look into it, I think it will happen. The reasoning is because the contract for Highmark Stadium that they currently play in is due to be up in 2023, and Buffalo gave the city a taxpayer-centered proposal for a $1.5 billion stadium and upgrades to, I think the baseball stadium out there. So, I mean, they threatened to move to Austin behind that. So, I don't think the city is going to do it because the taxpayers are like, hold up, we love the team, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You want a $1.5 million stadium?
Bro, that's cheap.
Like,
that's it?
Would you like to bring us a Super Bowl or something? I mean, everybody was up in arms about it here, but Atlanta United is the team that actually made that make sense.
Hell, I'll go on record.
There won't be an MLS team in Buffalo.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's just like you said, it's going to really destroy their fan base.
Yeah.
But here's another wrinkle. They're going to have to realign the divisions behind that.
Yeah.
They can't stay in the AFC East all the way in Texas.
No.
So, they're going to, they can do it very easily and just pull a swap, put the Indianapolis Colts back in the AFC East and move the Bills to the AFC South.
Right.
They would have to do that if they wanted to make this make that work.
Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, the traveling wouldn't make sense. And it's just, for them to be in that division is just dumb.
Right.
Man, so Kyle Lowry to the Miami Heat. 3 years, $90 million. Is that move enough to push the Heat over the hump?
Well, I don't think it's enough to push them over the hump. PJ Tucker as well actually got signed. I didn't even know that until as of late. So now you got Kyle Lowry, PJ Tucker, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler as well. So you've got some guys over there. But again, I mean, I hate to bring up the Lakers, but it just feels like guys. I don't feel like this is a team that is actually going to push. They have they have a star, I guess, in Jimmy Butler, and they have a guy who can put up points, I guess, in Kyle Lowry. But I mean, when you're talking about other teams in the East, like the Nets, and hell, maybe even the Hawks, and of course you're talking about the Bucks, and what if the Sixers are coming back? Like, yeah, it is soft towards the bottom of that Eastern Conference, but the Heat, unfortunately, are in that middle ground where it's like, okay, they were just a finals team, but then again, Jimmy Butler put up 15 points in the playoffs, didn't even drop more than 20, in any game against the Bucks. So I don't think this is enough to really put them over the hump. Now, they do have players, but again, I think it's just guys. I mean, I know Heat fans are happy, and they've still got Spoelstra, but I don't see them really pushing for anything major. So, no, I'm not buying it.
I mean, title contender, no, it's not enough for that. I think this does make the Miami Heat the third best team in the Eastern Conference behind the Nets and the Bucks. I think this team is good enough to beat the imploding Philadelphia 76ers because I don't really think that they're going to stay. Like with the mental issues that Ben Simmons is having and them always talking about moving him, I think the 76ers will take a step back. I think this Miami Heat team coming back with a healthy Jimmy Butler now, and now Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson just re-signed, Tyler Hero off the bench, PJ Tucker. Like, I definitely think that they have moved themselves into third place in the Eastern Conference. I mean, they just made the finals a year ago. So, I mean, they have shown that they can actually get there with all things being right. I mean, just whether it's all players being healthy. I mean, there was no Nets team like this, but we don't know if that Nets team is going to be healthy.
Right.
It's the Bucks that are the issue for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's another team over there outside of the Nets and Bucks that I would pick over the Heat as it stands.
Yeah, I mean, just Butler's not a championship player. You look at Lowry, like he needed obviously a high caliber player to take him to the promised land, which was Kawhi Leonard. I'll say it now, DeMar DeRozan has been better than Jimmy Butler, so there's obviously a deficiency there. So I just don't think Kyle Lowry has enough around him. And Jimmy Butler's just not that guy. I'm sorry. He had a little fad there. It was kind of like Jeremy Lin. You saw him. He played for a little bit, and then his attitude just kind of blew up his thing. And now what's going on?
He's a lot better than Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, he's a lot better, but Jimmy Butler was a fad. He's not been talked about in any serious championship conversation. He was in the finals because of the bubble. Come on now. They were piss poor this year in the first round.
I mean, they made it.
Yeah, they made it. They got smacked.
I mean, you can't act like it didn't happen. If they come back this season and they're good, then you're going to have to eat those words. You can't just write him off.
Yeah, I'll have to eat them, but I won't.
He's got to get one more opportunity, seeing as how that was just a year ago.
Can't do it.
You gave Kawhi Leonard a lot of passes.
Oh, I'm not giving Kawhi any passes at all. There are no passes for Mr. Leonard.
So check this out, man. We're going to just go ahead and change gears on that, and we ain't going to stop. ACC power Clemson University and Florida State have now requested to join the SEC in what looks like a play to really stay relevant. So, I mean, what do you see coming down the road with this?
This is wild, man. But, we talked about it last week when we brought up, Oklahoma and Texas. This is just a domino that's falling. I mean, we see that there's a conference. The SEC is really trying to make big moves. I mean, I don't even want to steal your thunder. I'll let you drop that bomb in a minute, what you were talking about before we went on air. Totally think that's possible. And this is a domino for that. Now, Florida State, they're a big brand, deep fan base. It would be tough for me to see them actually leave, to see them actually leave. But they have been pretty bad for the last few years. Now, they produce talent, so maybe putting them in the SEC would just be kind of a bump for the whole brand. Players get recognized more, more money, more tickets, everything. SEC is going to make everything pop. But Clemson, I cannot see Clemson leaving. They have been in the running for every college football national championship game besides the first year. They've been in every top four outside of the first year that it was introduced. Being in the championship, winning a couple of them. I mean, Clemson is entirely too big of a brand. If I'm talking about FSU, no, Clemson's definitely not leaving. Maybe FSU, but not Clemson at all.
I mean, I can absolutely see it happen, and here's the reason why. I think Clemson and Florida State looked at Oklahoma and Texas moving to the SEC, and they really saw the writing on the wall. They say this is supposed to happen in 2025. What they can see coming down the road is the SEC breaking their conference off and walking away from the NCAA, forming their own conference with their own TV deals, with their own set of bylaws, completely independent of the NCAA once they bring in enough of these teams. So, I mean, if you look at it now, with all the teams that are currently in the SEC, you add Oklahoma and Texas, then you take Clemson, Florida State. Obviously, you'll have Miami right there neighboring, like, whoa, hold up. Like, we want to get in. Next will be Ohio State and Michigan. She'll take the two teams out of the Big Ten so they can come join this mega conference. Notre Dame, with their massive NBC deal, is definitely going to want to get in this mix. Then you'll get a USC and an Oregon. And depending on how many teams they want in this conference, they might actually kick a few out. I mean, that'll just seem like it's really grimy, but like Vanderbilt, holla at you.
It's a business, baby.
Like, you can go, Kentucky can go.
Yeah. Hey, I'm cool with that, man. They are never, ever prevalent. There was 1 year. Oh, maybe Kentucky's defense. Yeah, Georgia blew that out of the water.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you have this one massive conference with all the best teams in the country, say if you have the top 25 in one conference and they just said, we're not going to be in the NCAA anymore. We're going to split this up into divisions. We'll play each other. Then we'll have a playoff like the NFL does. We'll pay the players. We'll crown our own champion. And whoever you crown won't really be a champion. They'll completely just change the mold and break it. No more bowl games, none of that. The schools can operate independently and make more money outside of the direction of the NCAA.
Yep.
Those TV deals would be massive. It would almost look like NFL. So I think that's what's actually coming down the pipe. It might be some years before that actually happens, but that's what they're looking at.
Boom! That's what I didn't want to tell you guys. That's totally possible. I mean, it'd be a whole nother league. Are you kidding me?
Why would I watch anything else?
Yeah. It's like SEC, NFL. Sorry. If you're not in the SEC, but just don't even go to college football if you're not going to play in the SEC. But that's what it's getting to. Unfortunately, that is what it's coming to.
Pretty much. Man, so last topic in the Fast Five before we go ahead and take it to the top of the hour. Elaine Thompson-Herah led a clean Jamaican sweep in the women's 100-meter final just yesterday, setting a new Olympic record of 10.61.
Yep.
Like, is Elaine now the new queen of the sprints?
100%. I mean, how can we not say it? Olympic record. I mean, look at how she just performed. All the pressure, being in the Olympics. And she went out. Here's the thing, too. Her and Usain Bolt are the only two people to ever go to back-to-back Olympics and win the 100 and the 200 gold medals in both. That is history right there. You're talking about competing with the fastest male or man to ever run on this earth, and now you're standing right there next to him. That's huge for the brand of the Olympics, her, women, everything. I love to see it, man. Absolutely love to see that. And, everyone's talking about Sha'Carri. Look, she was still the third fastest when you look at the numbers. She's still got to get some, she's still got to get in the game. She doesn't have any medals yet. She's a great athlete. She's 21 years old, though. Give her some time. She's going to get there. I got to give my hat off to the lady, man. She's doing great.
Oh, absolutely, man. She just completely stole the crown. I mean, with the 100 and the 200 victory, I mean, set the Olympic record. I mean, it's crazy that we just saw that happen multiple times within the past week or so.
Yeah.
We just saw Shelly Ann Fraser-Price she ran the second fastest women's 200 or 100 of all time. And then her teammate just came in and beat it in the Olympics. It's nuts. You got two of them that fast. I mean, she ran a 10.61. What did Shelly Ann ran a 10.63?
Yep.
And that was in the qualifiers to get there.
It was the best of the best athletes.
I mean, you got a 10.61 and a 10.63, and we're screaming Sha'Carri got robbed of her gold. She ain't thought about running those two times.
Yeah, man.
And she's definitely got plenty of time. I mean, they only got 3 years until the next Olympics come. I mean, she really just has to work on her start. She has the top end speed to run those speeds. She doesn't start quickly enough, and she wasn't going to beat them in these Olympics.
Right.
I mean, is my hat's off to her. And I mean, if you even look down the road, we had just beyond those two, I mean, in their clean sweep, you had her run Thompson Harrell run the 10.61. Fraser-Price ran a 10.74. Sharika Jackson ran a 10.76. And then Mary Talou ran a 10.91. But she also, she ran a 10.78 and a 10.79 in her two heats to get to the final.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Talou was from the Ivory Coast. So, I mean, you could say if they're all running at their best, it's possible Sha'Carri might have gotten fifth, let alone not medaled.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if she ran her best, then she could have gotten on that podium, but she was not getting gold.
Yeah. And I mean, you just read it off. Elaine had the best time by well over 3-4 quarters of a second. You're like, come on now, man. That's fantastic times.
Pretty crazy. I was about to say I thought we had a caller, but we at the top of the hour. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to take a little quick pause just to let y'all know what the cause is. This Petty Sports. We appreciate y'all every Tuesday night, every Wednesday night, tuning in, rocking with me and my man Adam. We try to bring you the hot fire content, as always. Make sure y'all like us, follow us, share the show. You can find us on iHeart. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Simple Radio, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Anywhere where you do your media, you can find Petty Sports. So make sure y'all keep it tuned. Keep it locked with us. Share it. Yeah, y'all come in and jump in the comments. Y'all give us a call. It's 678-871-9602. We'll chop it up with you. Hit the Petty line. We love this thing, man. And we appreciate y'all as always. So check it out. You listening to Petty Sports, the podcast, brought to you by King's Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, Famous Fees. They call me Fax. We coming in for hour number 2. Adam, what it do?
Man, hour 1 was insane. We've got a great segment coming at the end of hour 2. Lot of great stuff coming in hour 2, man. Want to give a quick shout out to everyone that's been supporting the YouTube channel. We did 10,000 views on the channel in the month of July. The Seahawks video is going crazy. Y'all been showing so much love to the NFL, and I want to just tell everybody watching right now, we are tripling, quadrupling down on the content when the season is here. We've got so many segments planned out, and we're here with you guys for every game, every stat, every play to cover it. And we're just going to put it into the show, man. We're going to be able to take it off for you guys and really just make everything pop. Check the link tree in every social media bio. Appreciate y'all. The support has been crazy. Fees. Let's get into hour 2, man.
Oh, yeah. We jumping right back onto the hardwood. Alex Caruso. Now, you didn't think I was going to lead the show back off with that. Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso are both signed 4-year deals with the Chicago Bulls. Lonzo, 4 years, $85 million. Alex Caruso, 4 years, $37 million. Two former Lakers, now in Chicago. So, what does this mean for the Chicago Bulls?
So you look at now, they're going to have their 5 best players are going to be Levine, Vucevic, Ball, Caruso, and DeRozan. And so I said, okay, let's take a look at this lineup because, again, it's funny how when we get into some of these.
DeRozan?
I'm sorry?
They signed DeRozan?
They did sign DeRozan.
How did I miss that?
Yeah, they had. Let me confirm, but I actually just saw that before we went on. Let me see. I want to say DeRozan did get signed.
Oh.
Let's see. As Bulls land DeRozan. Yep, there we go. So Levine, Vucevic, Ball, Caruso, and DeRozan are now with Chicago. And when you want to break down this lineup, because again, it's funny when we're talking about these trades and so many players are flying around the league, and it feels like this team is really different. But again, you've got Levine. He's an A player. Vucevic, I'll give him a B. Ball, probably about a B to a B plus. He's not terrible. You're looking at Caruso, probably a C plus player. And then DeRozan is a B. So everyone is a B player outside of Levine, who again will still need some help. Now, Levine's a 1. I'll absolutely give that to him. He's a borderline, superstar point guard. Probably is. Let's just call it how it is. Or shooting guard, whatever he might be out there. We know he likes to rotate a little bit. But I don't see Chicago, again, being a team that's going to be able to hang with that East and maybe at the bottom because it's so soft. But again, I'm not really going to think that the Bulls are going to be a threat next year. They've got talent, but it's not going to be enough. The NBA now, the margin is really starting to grow where you're either going to be a team that's really everyone's going to call great to good and you're going to have plenty of talent, or you might have a few guys, but you're going to be lacking so much to where it's hard to count you into any game. And that's where I feel like we are with the Bulls here. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. 11 seed last year. Yes, you bring in some players, but again, I'm not buying into it. I'm not. Sorry.
That's a lot. They brought in Ball and Caruso, and now DeMar DeRozan. I think that is pretty major for them. That's not making them title contenders or even a major player in the East. But I think that does move them up just a little bit. Lonzo Ball has really progressed from his days in L.A., and then getting shipped out and kicked out to New Orleans. I don't really think the Pelicans actually wanted him. That was just a part of them having to get something in return for Anthony Davis. But he had an uptick in his points per game. Field goal percentage went up 3%. His 3-point percentage went up almost 7% in the time that he went to New Orleans. And his free throw percentage went up 22%. So, he has definitely been on the upslide. He's looking like a much better player, not quite what he was billed just because his dad built him up so high when he came out of UCLA. But I think he's really turning the corner. So if you've got Lonzo Ball out here facilitating, he plays excellent defense, and he is a very good facilitator. Now he's out here with Zach LaVine, with DeMar DeRozan. Clearly Caruso's going to come off the bench, and he's definitely decent coming off the bench. I think Lonzo Ball will definitely complement Vucevic. But all in all, we're looking at the Nets, the Bucks, the Heat, the Hawks, maybe the Sixers, the Celtics. I can give the Bulls a 7 seed. They didn't make the playoffs, so that has moved you into the playoffs. So that's definitely an improvement. They won't make a whole lot of noise because you coming in at 7 means you're either going to play the Knicks or the Bucks. So, you're out in the first round. But you didn't make the playoffs last year. Making them this year is absolutely an improvement and something you can build off of. So, I could go with that.
Yeah. Again, like Ball, Caruso, they're just guys to me, dude. It's not enough for Levine. And DeRozan, yeah, he can play, but still has yet to get to that height. When they sent him to San Antonio, I was like, we're not.
You call them players that are multi-year all-stars, just guys.
What are they doing, though? Come on, bro. All-Stars is literally a voting contest, and we have discussed this.
They got to be a superstar Hall of Famer to get any credit from you?
No, not at all. You got to be competing, though, and I'm sorry, but all the teams we have discussed tonight are not going to be competing for a title, I don't believe.
These are decent teams. You're talking about everybody's just guys.
Yeah, well, decent and just guys, yeah. It's the same, average. You want me to call them bad?
You're acting like they're trash. Outside...
No.
Based off of your logic, all the Hawks got is Trae Young and a bunch of guys. All the rest of them are garbage. So I should take them down too. But you're going to try to sit up and tell me how the rest of these guys are good. You got to stop the bias. The Heat got some really nice additions. The Bulls made some upgrades. That's not making them contenders, but they're not just guys. These guys are good. You sounded very haterish. I need to know which... I need to know who actually qualifies as good by your standard. Is this just guys? It's like, damn, 95% of the league is just guys to you.
No, not at all.
Sound like it.
So Vucevic, Ball, Caruso, and DeRozan, where do you put them then?
And Levine.
Yeah, Levine is the A player out of the whole lineup.
You left them out of the lineup.
Well, that's what I said. With the exception of Levine, they're all guys.
He's a part of the team.
Yeah, I told you Levine was good. He's the A player. He's the one option. He still needs more help.
DeRozan is right there below him.
Won't be enough.
He is. We're not just going to just kill DeRozan like he's sorry.
Toronto did.
Last topic before we switch to the fantasy football roundup, which is about to get all the way live and all the way real. So check this out. Which one of these moves was actually more surprising to you? CP3 with the extension in Phoenix, or Kawhi Leonard declining his player option after undergoing a surgery, which is likely going to make him miss the next season?
I gotta say, it was hard to pick between these two, but I'm gonna have to say Kawhi because I know Kawhi undergoing the surgery. He's potentially going to miss all of next year. Then you look at how the first year with the Clippers absolutely choked it away. Kawhi's the reason the Clippers didn't get to the finals and had a shot at the chip this year because of what happened with the injury in the playoffs, and he continues to load manage. He continues to be a mystery. He continues to not be that leader that the Clippers need. We've sat on this show and talked multiple times about the Clippers needing a leader. The Clippers and the Lakers were kind of at bay at one point because they both didn't have a real leader outside of a star who was kind of trying to drag some things along. But now the now the Lakers went and got a leader in Russell Westbrook who can distribute, who will be vocal, who will push his teammates versus Kawhi. Yeah, I might drop 40 tonight, but I'm not going to say anything to you. It's been 3 years now. Steve Ballmer is impatient. It will be year 4 before they're even thinking about running at another one because, Kawhi's going to miss at least half of the next season. And I hate to see this for Clippers fans because, they had a lot of talent coming towards them. They just brought Batum back. Paul George was he was shedding off that polyester playoff pee in this postseason. And then Kawhi Leonard obviously was a star. But Kawhi has been so yin and yang with this team. And like I said, it's going to be year 4. Steve Ballmer's still going to wait. Steve Ballmer paid a lot of money for this team. He's just going to wait on Kawhi. You're not going to act like there's no other stars out there that you could have made some calls for. You've got talent on the team. Come on, guys. Come on, Ty Lue. What's going to happen? Let's see. So I got to say Kawhi. Now, Chris Paul, I wanted to lean towards, but Chris Paul was available. He might have choked, but he was available. And the best ability is availability when you need it. Kawhi was not there.
I'm not a fan of Chris Paul at all. I would have loved to actually just go in on Chris Paul about this, but it's a no-brainer. Kawhi Leonard is absolutely the most surprising in this situation. So, in his 2 seasons he's been with the LA Clippers, he's played 109 games. Just for reference, there's been 144 of them. He's missed so many games. He's
35.
just not there. And in addition to that, over those 2 seasons, his points per game have gone down. His games played have gone down. Their playoff seeding has gone down. They were a 2 seed in the West just 2 years ago. This year, they were 4th. They lost the second round to the Nuggets in the bubble, and then they lost the Western Conference Final to the Suns after starting all 3 series down 0-2. And then he wasn't available when they needed him at the end. And now with the partially torn ACL and the surgery, probably missing the whole season because I've heard multiple reports saying that Kawhi is the type of guy that does not want to play if he's not feeling 100%.
Well,
so he's going to wait.
He load manages.
He's going to wait the entire time. If they say it's a 6 to 8 month process, he'll be 9 because he wants to feel 100% before he comes back on the court. So that means he'll wait an entire another offseason and then demand big money.
Yeah.
Who's supposed to be paying you all of that? You prove, you earned that money with the championship that you got in Toronto, but really, you got that championship because Golden State imploded via injury. They were not going to beat them. If he hadn't won that one via injury, it'd be a whole different conversation. But he's just been out there not delivering. He's not playing, and he's not delivering, and he's not taking any heat for it. We don't give Kawhi any of that smoke. I wonder, is it just because he doesn't talk that we just don't place that on him, or is it because he's got the 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs? He makes his way into conversations that he ain't got no business being into, and then just weasels his way out of them when we start throwing blame. I'm about tired of Kawhi's pass. Kawhi is going to have to do something before he continues to be considered like a top 5 player in the league. He's not anymore. He did his thing for a short stint.
Yeah.
He was fortunate in how everything unrolled for him. Like he had the carpet rolled out for him. The carpet ain't there no more. And he's not producing. So it's like, man, Kawhi should have went on ahead and he should have just went on ahead and opted in. That was really the only option.
Opted into the option.
Yeah. That was the option. Man, we've reached 9:15, so I need y'all, fantasy football lovers, everybody, to strap in. Because this is what we got for you. It's the Petty Sports Fantasy Football Combine. We're going to run down with the quarterbacks first. We'll take a little quick break. Then we're going to come down and we're going to chop it up about these running backs. So now all of y'all didn't get into the fantasy league like you were supposed to. We're going to repost the link on the page. Need y'all to get in. It's the Petty Sports Fantasy Football League. If you win the league, if you can come in there and take us out, you can win some Petty Sports merch. Jump in. It's ESPN, Petty Sports with the Z.
Yeah, jump into the league, guys. Come on now. I mean, don't be afraid. We don't play fantasy like that, but we're still going to be in there competing against you guys. Gotta have giveaways at the end, some prizes, be able to be on the show, give you a shout out. Like there's a lot, and it's going to be fun. You'll go down in Petty Sports history. We promise.
And we're about to help you with your picks.
Exactly. You can take our picks, go in there, and then if you beat us, and we can't be mad at anybody but us because we gave it to you.
Pretty much. So, man, we got 3 different categories for the quarterbacks. We're going to run them down like this. First category, can't miss quarterbacks. So, give you the top 5 people that there's just no-brainers. Got to pick them. Then we've got the bye week guys, which are basically your subs, we got a bad matchup, your backup quarterbacks in case of an injury. And then your red flags, people you just might want to shy away from. So, man, for you can't miss quarterbacks, just no-brainers, who do you have as your number 1 option?
Of course, Patrick Mahomes, all-time leader in passing yards per game. He's guaranteed to go for over 300, couple touchdowns, maybe 3. He's shifty. He can get going with the legs. He'll run it in for you. Great vision, best arm in the NFL. Really a no-brainer. Patrick Mahomes will easily win you a fantasy football league at number 1.
All right, for this season, I got Tom Brady. He's got the weakest schedule of all the top quarterbacks. He's a fully healthy line, an embarrassment of weapons. He opens against Dallas and Atlanta, 2 of the 2020's worst pass defenses in the league. They got, their secondaries are just loaded with rookies. Tom's probably going to have MVP category season this year. So, the entire division is in rebuild mode. And he was 8th in fantasy points last year without an offseason coming into a brand new team. So, he's going to light it up this year.
Number 1, Brady QB1. Okay.
It's the team. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. A lot of weapons.
But you got it too.
Number 2 is going to be Josh Allen. And Stephon Diggs, of course, is going to play a major factor into this. Led the league in targets, catches, and yards last year. Turned Josh Allen really into a quarterback that we know can now compete for a Super Bowl. And Josh Allen, since being drafted, leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. Huge arm, and he knows that he can play off script. Being as big as he is, I think he's really... If Watson was still playing, I would put Mahomes, Watson, and Allen in the same category at this point. I think Josh Allen is just going to take another step up, and he's my QB2 to go win you a league this year, no question.
Okay, well, I agree with you on that one. At QB2, I've got Josh Allen. Second weekest schedule of the top quarterbacks. That definitely plays into it. He was first in fantasy points last season. They've added weapons. So you picked up Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep.
They also got a home run hitter in Breda. And, he's a dual threat. He had 421 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns last season.
Exactly.
So, if you know how fantasy works, rushing touchdowns count more than passing touchdowns for quarterbacks. So if you got a quarterback that can run, you get 6 points for those, only 4 for the passing. Josh Allen at 2. You got a 3.
Number 3, Kyler Murray, my favorite player in the NFL right now. I would put him at number 2, but he doesn't have the arm like Josh Allen does. I don't think he has the passing ability, the vision, the big play threat. Now, he can throw a nice football, and we know that Kyler Murray is already a quarterback that is going to establish himself in the league, run for awards, and he's going to be able to help you out in fantasy as well. And you know that he is the second best rushing quarterback in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson, so he's easily able to go for 150 to 250, but he's also very liable to go for 80 to 100 yards and maybe a touchdown or two with his legs. So Kyler Murray will be able to steal a lot of games for you late in the season, and Kyler's just an emerging star that I definitely would put faith in for my fantasy team.
And I think that's crazy high for Kyler Murray. I got Pat Mahomes at 3.
We should have put him at 1.
He was 4th in fantasy points last season, 4,700 passing yards, 38 touchdowns, another 308 yards rushing with 2 more touchdowns. I mean, he's got a twinge, a dual threat to him.
Right.
They rebuilt the offensive line, and they have a suspect defense, which could serve to actually have him throwing more than what he actually should be. So I think Pat Mahomes will definitely be a fantasy stat stuffer for this season.
Oh, yeah.
Who you got at 4?
Number 4, I think there's no question about this. Some people might put him higher, but Dak Prescott, the ultimate garbage time quarterback who's going to be able to rack up fantasy points, yards, touchdowns. He might throw you some picks, but I feel like with the amount of attempts that he's probably going to see coming back, and this might sound crazy to some Cowboys fans, but you know that Dak is going to be slinging the football. Mike McCarthy does not like to run the football, and it sucks because you know Zeke could be able to be a huge factor this year, but I feel like the Cowboys are going to be silly again and give all of this to Dak to let him sling the football. So I do have Dak at number 4. He's just going to rack up so much garbage time being in that NFC East. Now, there will be defenses he has to compete with, but I think Dak is going to hold his own in the fantasy game.
I'm giving Russell Wilson my 4th spot. He was 6th in fantasy last year.
Yep.
4,200 yards, 40 touchdowns, another 500 yards rushing and 2 more touchdowns. I mean, he's like the ultimate dual threat.
Yep.
Because he is the one guy who can lead the league in passing, but also have a substantial amount of rushing yards, and we know how that counts. And even though that they have the 11th toughest strength of schedule this season, it doesn't matter because Russ is really that good. He's going to get his regardless, so you can always count on Russ.
There is no Kyler Murray without Russell Wilson.
Pretty much. Who you got at 5?
Number 5 is going to be Russell Wilson for me. Another top-tier receiving core in the NFL, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. He's going to have a healthy backfield. But the reason I don't put Russell Wilson higher is because we know every year he comes out for 6, 7, 8 games. Best quarterback in the league, no question. And then he always falls off at the end of the year, which I feel like, you know, you could almost put him in the next category that we're going to get to because it makes you wonder, is he going to come out and be consistent in weeks, 9 through 17, 18 now? Versus we know the first half of the season, Russ is gold. He is a Kyler Murray type of guy. He is a, Pat Mahomes type of guy. He can throw the deep ball, but he can also run as well and get shifty with the legs. So I do have him at number 5. But it is a little bit of a beer for me anyways because I've seen how Russ likes to trend towards the end of the year.
Okay, well, I'm at my number 5. Wait for it, Wes Davis. Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, what?
7th in fantasy points last year.
Yeah.
Added Julio Jones across from A.J. Brown, so he's got another extremely viable weapon.
Yep.
Went for 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns last year. He actually did run a little bit. He had 266 yards rushing and another 7 rushing touchdowns, which is major.
Wow, yeah,
That's a lot for fantasy.
Yep.
They have a weak defense, which means that he will be throwing the ball a lot because of their defense because he's going to just have to keep slinging it. And the play action of Derrick Henry is the scariest in the league by far. Ryan Tannehill, no-brainer. If these other 4 quarterbacks are off the board, pick Tannehill. We're going to move on to our bye week, bad matchup subs, or late draft pick quarterbacks because you got to have 2. You need a backup. It's essential. All matchups ain't good. Who you got as number 1?
Number 1 is going to be Justin Herbert for me. Now, y'all know how I feel about Justin Herbert. I think he's going to be able to hop in, and you might not take him high. Now, you could take him high easily, but if you are looking for a quarterback that still could be there on the board for you because not everybody's going to leap at him, I think you got to take a look at Justin Herbert. We know what he did as a rookie, and I see no reason for him to not accelerate in his second year in the NFL. Healthy Keenan Allen, great offensive line up front for him. I think it's going to give him plenty of time, and we know Herbert can run as well. Big arm, great vision already, so Herbert is going to be in that category for me.
I would have Herbert as like trade bait if I picked him that high.
There you go. Someone would buy for you.
He's a guy that you would want to pick if you were like 10th or 11th in your draft. Like he would be like your starter. That's why I don't have him there. Mm-hmm. I think for my number 1 guy here would be Cam Newton because we're talking about a bye week or a bad matchup substitute quarterback that's going to get you good points. He was 19th in fantasy points last year, including like all running backs and everyone. He went for 2,600 yards, 8 touchdowns, but he also ran for another 600 yards and 12 touchdowns. Just as we've been saying, rushing yards and touchdowns actually count more for the quarterbacks than their passing. So if they do both, then they kill it for you.
Oh, yeah.
Wide receiver, tight end upgrades. The strength of schedule is 19th this year, down from 1st last season. And he's not coming off a COVID year with a new team with an extra year in the offense. So I think Cam would be a very viable guy to have for your fantasy roster to sub in for your starter if indeed they either have a very bad matchup or a bye week. Well, you got it too.
Number 2 is going to be Lamar Jackson. And I know people are probably wondering why he wasn't higher on my list, but here's the thing. Lamar Jackson had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons on the ground. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I'm giving Lamar about a 700 to an 800, maybe 900-yard window this year. I think the NFL, like you mentioned before we got on, everybody's going to be looking to get Kamara on the ground. Everybody's going to be looking to get Lamar Jackson on the ground. And I don't think Lamar is going to be confident throwing the football. 2,800 yards last year. Look, I get the 99 passer rating. Before the Ravens fans jump in the comments, call the line, whatever you're going to do. I know it's coming. But Lamar does worry me about passing the football, especially if you're talking about going towards a title in fantasy. And I know he's got weapons. They went and got some guys for him. But is he going to have that confidence to hang in the pocket, be with the pressure, and deliver the football? I want to see more of that outside of the MVP season. Got to prove it to me at number 2 on my list.
Number 2, I'm taking Jalen Hurts.
Ooh, that's a very good one.
Last season in his 4 starts, 919 yards. That's 230 yards a game. 5 touchdowns, 272 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. On average for his 4 games, that's 25.5 fantasy points per game. Just to give you reference, Josh Allen was number 1 in fantasy points per game last season at 25.3. Given this was a full season, it's hard to actually compare them that way. But the potential that Jalen has is averaging more points than anyone averaged for fantasy all of last season. Absolutely a great pickup for fantasy for a backup guy. And they have the 32nd worst strength of schedule. They play the easiest schedule in the entire NFL.
Oh, yeah. He'll
pick him up, sit on him when you need him, pop him in there. Who you got at 3?
Number 3 is going to seem crazy, but I do have Aaron Rodgers here. He has the best wide receiver. Yes, absolutely. Because you're talking about if you are going to be falling down, and yes, you could have Rodgers picked high in some of these rounds, but if you're talking about potentially looking past him, he could be hanging out there for you. And I don't think Rodgers is a guy that could sling and get you a fantasy championship over a Mahomes, over a Allen, over a Kyler, like I've been mentioning. That's why I think he has the potential in some of these leagues to fall down. And we know he has Devontae Adams at his exposure. 18 touchdowns last year, best wide receiver in the NFL. Bob Tonyan being a great tight end. Aaron Jones still staying there. And overall, with Aaron Rodgers having his last year in Green Bay, coming off the MVP year, who knows what he'll deliver to us. So that's why some people might not know if they want to grab him right up front. I mean, Rodgers kind of does wonder, you kind of do wonder, what is he going to be in his last year in Green Bay? We'll see.
Hey, man, I'm giving you Teddy Bridgewater at 3. 22nd in fantasy points last year with Carolina. Now in Denver, 27th ranked strength of schedule, so they're not playing a difficult schedule. He's got Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams behind him. Play action will be working. Dump off to the running backs. Yards after catch. Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, KJ Hamler, Cortland Sutton. Think he's definitely a viable substitution play when you need to actually go with a different quarterback. It's because you have a bad matchup or a bye week. So you got a 4.
Number 4, Matthew Stafford. Stat patter in Detroit. You go to L.A., immediate coach upgrade, wide receiver upgrade, line upgrade. I mean, everything is upgrading for him. And a lot of people, again, I feel like they're going to try to jump on him early, but you don't know what he's going to be. And if you're talking about maybe some inconsistency with a Matthew Stafford, that's why he feels great at a number 4 pick right here. You know he's going to have touchdowns. He's going to have yards. But is he going to be consistent week in and week out? That's why you can sit on him and pop him in, like you said, when you have a bad matchup.
Okay, at number 4, I got Sam Darnold.
Ooh.
He's going to be available. 26 in strength of schedule.
What?
He's got a healthy Christian McCaffrey. He's got Chuba Hubbard. So, I mean, he's got a very strong running game behind him. McCaffrey is excellent in the passing game, so he dumps off. Those yards are going to count for the quarterback as well. He's got a Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Terrence Marshall. He's got a nice complement of weapons to go along with a very weak schedule this season. If you need a quarterback to sub in, he is a very good option, and he will be available in most leagues. This isn't the guy you're going to want to go with week to week.
Right.
If you've got a bad matchup with your current quarterback, you can sub in a Sam Darnold. He fits.
Mm-hmm.
Who you got at 5?
Number 5, a guy that I'm so excited to see play in the NFL. It's going to be Justin Fields. I am so excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. Allen Robinson has been a good receiver, great receiver, really. We talked about him in our wide receiver list, and he hasn't had a true QB1 to deliver him the ball consistently. We know Justin Fields has a great arm, awesome vision, and he can... Ooh. I thought we just cut me, my bad. And he can also move extremely well on the ground. We talked about those points you can get on the ground with the touchdowns, yards, and I think he's going to be able to actually get some yards through the air early on in his playing. I think he'll be out there week 1, and you can sit on him at number 5.
All right, I got Ryan Fitzpatrick at number 5. 15th ranked strength of schedule, dead smack in the middle of the league almost. Week 9 is his bye week, and this is why I'm giving you him as a viable backup, because most of the top quarterbacks in the league's bye weeks are between week 11 to 14. In week 11 to 14, he plays Carolina, Seattle, Vegas, and Dallas. None of those defenses are good. He will put up numbers in those games. If your quarterback is on a bye week, sub in Ryan Fitzpatrick. He'll get you the numbers that you need to keep you rolling from week to week.
Yep.
That's why I have him there. So we're going to roll on to the red flags. These are the top 5 quarterbacks we've got that you should be very cautious of and probably not pick up. Who you got at number 1?
Tua Tagovailoa, even if he bounces back. I mean, people compared him to Drew Brees, and he kind of looks like Drew when he's throwing small underneath throws, not really confident throwing down the field, but he's a small guy. He's left-handed. He's not your he's not your normal quarterback. Now, he was great, obviously, in college, and I think Tua has a lot of room for improvement, but I don't think he's a guy that you should bite on. I know he's got Waddle. I know he's got Gesicki, but I think he will hold himself back individually and won't be able to perform, so I think stay away from him for sure.
I mean, I would have never picked him, period.
That's exactly why you stay away from him.
Number 1 red flag for me is Dak Prescott.
Ooh.
Purely injury related. They have they're 31st in strength of schedule, but he's already laboring a shoulder injury after coming back from a broken ankle. It's like, I don't know if he's going to be available. I think you pick him in your draft, and it's possible that you're going to be waiting and waiting and waiting and playing your backup week after week. Like, man, would Dak come back, he going to kill it. But we don't know if he's going to play or not. I mean, if I knew that he was actually going to play, then he would have definitely been in my second list right along with where you had him, possibly even in the first list just because the strength of schedule is so weak. But I don't know that he's going to be available. I would not waste a high pick on Dak. Well, who you got at number 2?
Number 2, Zach Wilson, huge fool's gold pick. I know people, oh my God, number 2 pick. Look at all the talent they brought in around him. No, look at the division that he plays in. He's got Bill Belichick, Sean McDermott, and Brian Flores twice a year. He was absolutely subpar in college when he played against competition. And the guy is small. I know he can throw on the run. I know he can get shifty with the legs. But again, he has not played well against competition. You're putting him in a very, very tough defensive division. Look at all 3 of the teams in Buffalo, Miami, and New England. Huge defenses. I think he's going to struggle against him. Stay away from Zach Wilson.
I mean, you know I don't like Zach. I don't think he should be picked, period. Doesn't matter. Backup, none of that. He's not going to be the guy. At number 2, I got Jimmy Garoppolo.
100%.
Injuries plus Trey Lance is breathing down that man's neck already, and he's not even hurt. But I mean, for the most part, it's really just because Jimmy is a winner. He's not a stat guy. He's not for fantasy football. In his 2019 season, he was only 17th ranked in fantasy points, and he took his team all the way to the Super Bowl. He's efficient. He makes big plays when he's supposed to, but he's not stuffing the stat sheet, and he's not going to help you in your fantasy league. You just cannot trust him like that.
Right.
I mean, it's probably a foregone conclusion that he'll get hurt, but even if he doesn't, San Francisco will be winning games, and he will not be scoring you points. You won't be winning in fantasy with him.
Yep.
Who you got at 3?
Number 3, Matt Ryan. Julio Jones was a major reason that Matt Ryan was able to rack up those yards. He's a major reason that the Falcons were able to get that offense that they've been for the past 5, 6, 7 years. But new coach, you're going to assume Calvin Ridley's going to step up and be wide receiver 1, which I think he can, but let's not assume. Kyle Pitts, the highest picked tight end ever, and tight ends don't always find immediate success in the NFL. I predicted that he would, but still, it has to be seen. And again, that offensive line makes you curious. Will Matt Ryan have his time? A lot of factors going into this new season. Be aware of Matt Ryan. Absolutely stay away from him.
So that's surprising. I got Justin Fields at number 3. It's not because I don't like the kid. Like, I really hope that he does well, but he's playing the 3rd toughest schedule in the league this season. That is not a good look for a rookie. And as it stands, he's not even listed as QB1. See, he may not even come out as a starter. So you might end up having to wait on him, in addition to the fact that when he does come in, he's going to be playing against top-tier defenses all season long. So, I mean, I would kind of shy away from Justin this season. He might be a next-year fantasy guy. If you're in a keeper league, you might want to sit on him for next year. I don't want him right now, though. What you got for week 4 for player number 4?
Baker Mayfield. The Browns perform better when Baker does not throw the football. They are a run-centric team. Nick Chubb is obviously going to be able to continue. I think he has a fourth straight 1,000-yard season, probably double-digit touchdowns again. Kareem Hunt's back there. And is he going to be able to play well when OBJ comes back? He took off on that hill when OBJ went down with the injury. Be aware of Baker Mayfield. I would not draft him in my fantasy league, considering how run-heavy the Browns are.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. I got Matt Stafford at number 4. He's got the 10th toughest schedule this season. No running threat, which basically equals no play action. So no one's going to be worried about the threat of him actually handing the ball off. It's going to be all him trying to do it with his arm, and that's going to be very reminiscent of what you saw in Detroit. It's not going to fare well. On top of the fact that he just has extreme pressure to actually produce outside of Detroit. He just came out in an interview talking about how he let Detroit down, and the expectations for him in L.A. are basically to take them back to the Super Bowl, because with their other quarterback, they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
It's not like the bar is low, like all I got to do is make a playoffs. You've never even won a playoff game, and you stepped into a situation where the bar is, you're going to have to take us to the Super Bowl and win it.
Yep.
Because the dude that left here took us all the way there, but he didn't win it.
Yep. That's why you're there.
He's gonna fold. Don't take him. Who you got at 5?
Number 5, Jameis Winston. Again, like with the Matt Ryan situation, you can't sit here and assume that everything is going to be the same. The Saints are way different. There is no wide receiver 1. Michael Thomas is not going to be there because of surgery. Jared Cook is out of town. Emmanuel Sanders is out of town. The Saints look way different. This will be Winston's first year. And Kamara, again, is the only weapon. I hate to say it, but it's going to be tough to watch as a Saints fan. Do not draft Jameis Winston. Don't do it.
It's my last guy, Kirk Cousins. 5th toughest strength of schedule this season. He's got 8 midday and primetime games.
Oh, that's 8 losses.
Yeah, like he does not perform when they don't play at 1 o'clock, and he's got 8 of those games. I mean, like he should start the season off strong because they do have their weaker piece of scheduling in the beginning. But he's got from week 9 all the way through the rest of the season, he's got a gauntlet. It doesn't end. I mean, if you pick Kirk Cousins, you're going to start off blazing. Be like, yeah, he's killing it for me. Didn't expect him to get these kind of points. And from week 9 moving forward, he's going to be the reason why you completely tank. If you actually make the playoffs, you are not going any farther than that, because the defenses and the times that he plays get very tough as you move on in the season. Kirk Cousins ain't what you want. Span, we're going to take a quick break before we jump to the running backs. I'm going to throw this thing to Mike Beasley to let you know who pays these bills one time. Take that thing away.
Appreciate that famous facts feeds, man. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, like always, thank you for tuning in. You could have been anywhere else in the world tonight, but you right here watching these guys. Adam Lewis, famous facts feeds, Petty Sports, brought to you every week, 8 o'clock, Tuesday or Wednesday. This week it was Tuesday. Next week it'll be on Wednesday. So, call a friend, neighbor, coworker, text a friend, neighbor, coworker. Tell them to tune in and check these guys out. They go pretty hard, you know what I'm saying? Got a little tongue tie right there, you know what I'm saying? But we greatly appreciate it. And I wasn't really trying to offend nobody, all right? You know what I'm saying? Call in 678-8719-602, 678-8719-602. See my guy YPK out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I shouted him out the first time. Go to kingsbroadcasting.com. Buy some merch. You know, we got you see the new gear the guys are sporting every week now. The headgear, they got the shirts, polo style, the T-shirts. Go over there. Hit the link at the bottom of the page. It's a big donate button. So, you know what I'm saying? You can help us keep doing what we're doing. Help support black businesses. You know what I'm saying? Go check the show out on the different platforms for podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart Radio. All over the place, man. Go to subscribe, like, follow, share on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all over the place, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't have any excuse not to really, you know what I'm saying, be fucking with your boy the long way. You know what I'm talking about? So, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Without no you, there is no us. Appreciate it. Support black business here called We Do ATL. Hold back to the Registered program.
Yes, sir. We are back with the running back segment for fantasy football. We're going to start this thing off with the bell cow running backs. Who is your top running back that just can't miss?
No question, man. Number one, Christian McCaffrey, first ever to go 1,000 in the yard and 1,000 on the, 1,000 on the ground and 1,000 through the air. We know Christian McCaffrey produces on all levels. There's no further explanation for him. He'll win you your fantasy league at number one.
I got to go with Derrick Henry. The man went for 2,000 yards, led the league in rushing and touchdowns back-to-back years. No reason why he won't, especially with the addition of Julio to go on the other side of AJ. That'll definitely take someone out of the box, which will make it even easier for him. Derrick Henry's a no-brainer at number one.
Yep.
Who you got at number two?
Number two is going to be Alvin Kamara for me. I still think he produces with the Saints.
What?
He's going to have no chance but to, not no chance. I know it seems like that, right? No option but to produce for the Saints, being the only weapon, and he's going to be out there doing it all. We've seen Kamara do this when there wasn't as much talent with the Saints when he first got drafted, and even as a rookie, that was a big reason he was able to make his case as Rookie of the Year, being a young player. I think now being a veteran for that Saints team, kind of trying to find their identity, I still think he's a safe pick in your draft for you.
That's craziness.
Nah.
I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey at number two. Fresh off the injury, threat to run and catch the ball out of the backfield. You're getting points on top of points with him. And he's got a relief back in Chuba Hubbard to reduce the mileage, because that's really been a problem. He's just having to just run. He's tilting the ball too much. So I think that'll give him the little bit of breather that he needs. Christian McCaffrey is going to be a killer, just like he has been when he's been healthy. So I'd say he's a surefire second choice if Derrick Henry's not on the board.
Absolutely.
Who you got at three?
Number three, it will be Derrick Henry for me. Like you mentioned, over 2,000 yards rushing. He's very easy to go for 14, 15, 16 rushing touchdowns in a year. There's no reason he should slow down. Yes, Arthur Smith is out, but I still think there will be that continuous giving Derrick Henry 15, 20 carries a game. No reason to hesitate to pull the trigger on him in your draft at number three or higher, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I would definitely go higher. But at number three, I got Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb went for 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. His touchdown number is very strong for fantasy. Baker Mayfield is still being used with caution. They are definitely a run-first team. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt both get heavy carries. He's a very safe pick. Week in and week out, they're going to establish Nick Chubb before they start letting Baker tote it. And even when Baker starts throwing, it's still a healthy complement of running. He's going to get you your points every week.
Yep, absolutely.
Who you got for number four, the bell cow backs?
Yes, sir. Dalvin Cook will take home number four. Perfect blend, really, of Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry. He can be a bell cow and run in between the tackles. He can be there on a screen pass. He can run outside. Dalvin Cook is really a Swiss Army knife. He is a jack of all trades. And when you look at 1,600 yards from scrimmage the last 2 years in the NFL, there's nothing you can say that's bad about him. So give it up for Dalvin Cook at number four.
Okay, I'm going to have to give a little bit of love to Raider Nation on this one and go with Josh Jacobs at number four.
Wow, okay.
1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns, and another 238 receiving yards. His numbers were almost mirror images to Nick Chubb's, and he actually does catch the ball a little bit more out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
With the Raiders offense and the emergence, they just picked up Kenyon Drake, so he doesn't have to carry so much of the load. And he still will be the bell cow guy. He's getting the majority of those carries. Derek Carr, he's really trying to prove himself. He's going to have to establish that run. I think they're going to rely heavily on Josh Jacobs. He's going to get you your points every week. Can't deny him. Who you got for number five?
Number five will be Nick Chubb. Like we mentioned with the Browns, they are a run-first team. I think, you could either look at Hunt helping him in some cases. That way he'll have fresh legs for carries, or it could potentially take away from him. But I do think that Nick Chubb emerges at the end of the year as the RB1 for the Browns, and I think he will be a top five pick, for your running back position. Almost 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. And the fact that he has 28 touchdowns already in his 3-year career, he's primed for a 20-touchdown season. Maybe not this year, but I could see it next year or the year after. So Nick Chubb is a huge force to be reckoned with in this category.
Okay, y'all are going to be surprised at my number 5 pick. I'm giving you Ezekiel Elliott. Outside of the week 1 game at Tampa,
that's a hard one.
Outside of that week 1 game, they'll be facing the worst rushing defenses in the entire NFL. If you get a healthy Dak back, that's going to take guys out of the box. They have a very good wide receiving core, and he's reportedly, he looks like he's lost weight. If you see that spark out of the backfield by Zeke, it's going to be a bounce-back season for him. He's definitely going to get you the points that you're looking for.
Okay.
So now for our next running back category, the flex backs. Most leagues play with 2 running backs at least, and then you can get a third one at a flex if you need one, if you don't want to put a wide receiver or a tight end in. So if you're looking for another running back, whether it's an RB2 or a flex guy, who's your number one guy for this?
RB2 for me is going to be Aaron Jones. I think he's the best flex consideration right now. And some people would, again, try to put him higher, but also you don't know if Aaron Jones is going to come out and be a guy that can win you your fantasy league every week. But I feel like he would be great to pair up with, if you potentially did go higher with one of the guys like we mentioned, he would be a great 2 option, or he could as well be a 1. But when you look at how consistent he's been, and he kind of feels like an all-around guy too, kind of like a Kamara or a McCaffrey, he can catch passes, but he's very easy to take it around on a sweep or bust it up on a screen as well. So I do have Aaron Jones here at number 1.
Okay, that's where I have Dalvin Cook, actually. He's not on my bell count backs just because of Kirk Cousins and their defense, because they could possibly get behind and be out of games to where they don't run. But outside of that, I think he is absolutely, he's a bell cow back type of back. It's literally just his quarterback and their schedule. I think he's going to get a few less carries than what he normally should because they'll be behind in games, which is why I've got him as a flex back. He's still going to have breakout games, but I wouldn't want to rely on him as my number 1 guy every week.
All right, then.
Who you got at number 2?
Number 2 for me is going to be Ezekiel Elliott. And like I mentioned, he does seem sometime to fade from game to game. But there are some games also where he's going to easily give you 125, 150. And he can have some decent pass catching ability out of that backfield. And with the 6th best offensive line in the NFL, according to PFF, that Zeke is going to be looking to come back, because after he had those first few strong years, and a lot of people have been talking about the, offensive line not being healthy, or is it Zeke? Well, in my opinion, when are we going to start holding both parties accountable? I think it's now time for that this season, which makes you hesitate a little bit on Zeke. That's why I put him here on this list.
Okay, number 2, I got Kareem Hunt. He would be my second running back to actually go on the list. He's the second back behind Nick Chubb, but he actually had more carries than Nick Chubb last season. He had 800-plus rushing yards for 6 touchdowns and another 304 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. So he gets it done on both the receiving and the rushing. He splits time with Chubb, but just as I just mentioned, he gets his carries in just the same as Chubb does. They both eat because this is a very run-centric offense. He's a safe flex back. Who you got at 3?
Number 3, Saquon Barkley. So excited to see this guy come back from injury. And it's really pissing me off because some people are saying, is Saquon potentially a bust? Is he even going to be able to come back and perform like he did? And I'm like, you guys kidding me? Did we not see what Saquon did? He ran for 1,000 as he was hampered with the Giants. And I know some people were questioning, what about his career? Well, what is he going to do with this and that? Well, let's let Saquon come back. He looks healthy. We've been hearing good things in camp. I think he's going to be a running back that, again, might have some hesitation because of the injury. But if you pick him here, he could absolutely produce, and it would kind of be a no-brainer.
Okay, I'm kind of scared of Saquon. At number 3, I'm going with J.K. Dobbins.
He did not make my cut.
He's going to start to take carries away from Lamar Jackson because that offense is going to have to start to morph into something that looks more like a normal NFL offense because teams are actually starting to figure out how to slow down the Lamar we trust run offense. He's got to start handing the ball off and throwing more, which means he's going to have to establish the run, and J.K. Dobbins is going to get more touches, especially with the exit of Mark Ingram to the Texans. He went for 805 yards and 9 touchdowns last year, which was very formidable for fantasy. I think his numbers take an uptick as Baltimore tries to change the identity of their offense in order to get over the hump moving forward, because what they do does not work in January. They've got to change it, and I think the change starts with JK. Who you got at 4?
Number 4, Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts. You know, some people, they saw how he kind of got suppressed last year, didn't get fully released, but once he did, he immediately took off, and you could easily pick him in the first set as well, but I don't feel like he's going to be able to offer as much versatility as a lot of these running backs do. We see a lot of versatility with the quarterback position as well. If he could learn to pass catch more, you could potentially talk about him being RB2 or RB3. Like, he's got that type of power and ambition at the position, so I am going to put Jonathan Taylor there at number 4.
That's an interesting spot there. I've got Ronald Jones at number 4. Rojo solidified his spot as RB1 last season, even with the addition of Leonard Fournette. He still got the lion's share of the carries. It's a loaded roster. He'll never in life see 8 in the box with everyone on that team. So he's always going to have room in space. He actually is a very good pass catching running back as well. So, I mean, his team is also going to benefit from being up big in the majority of their games this season, which means that they'll fall back on the run. So, I mean, he's going to get a lot, like he's going to get heavy carries in the third and fourth quarter of lots of games because they'll be up by 2-3 scores and they'll shut the offense down and just hand it to him play after play. So that he'll be a very beneficial fantasy back. Well, you got a 5.
Number 5, Antonio Gibson out of the Washington football team. Extreme Swiss Army knife. I mean, he's lining up at receiver sometimes. You can also obviously have him at the running back position like we're discussing here. He's extremely versatile. And, I mean, overall, when he came onto that team and he immediately provided that spark and you saw how he fit well into that offense, complimenting a Terry McLaurin. And now maybe Fitzpatrick will feel kind of confident with him in the backfield. So I think Gibson is a great grab at number 5 if you're looking for maybe a little bit of a flex back.
Okay, not mad at that. I'm giving you Aaron Jones at number 5.
Okay.
A-Rod is back, so that basically rights the ship for everything in Green Bay. 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns last season. Also another 355 receiving with a couple of touchdowns. He'll also never see 8 in the box like some of the rest of these guys. He does dirt, and he actually catches a lot of passes out of the backfield. He does work in both facets of the game. Aaron Rodgers is an easy flex pick. I mean, Aaron Jones, my bad. All right, so, man, for our last running back segment, we've got the setback running backs. They'll probably set you back a week or two if you go with them. Who you got at number 1?
Melvin Gordon. I think he's had his chance the last few years in the NFL. I know he played for the Chargers being a 1,000-yard rusher, but I feel like he lost some of that steam after he did leave that team. And with the Broncos taking Javonte Williams, who some people potentially said, this dude could be the best running back in the draft. He's young, he runs with his head down, and he is probably going to get a majority of the carries. So I would say stay away from Melvin Gordon because it kind of feels like a fool's gold pick again.
Okay, so my number 1 setback guy is going to be Jonathan Taylor.
I hate to hear that.
No quarterback equals 8 in the box every single week, and they're going to be playing from behind in pass-only mode. He's not going to get the carries, and there's going to be a stuff box when he does get the carries. It's not anything to do with his skill set. It's literally his team. Wouldn't pick him. Well, you got it, too.
Number 2, hate to say it, but Travis Etienne being the best running back in the draft. You look at James Robinson that's back there, undrafted free agent, and when he came in was a huge fantasy MVP, and I think they're going to continue to give him that same amount of carries, continue to feed him, because just imagine if he did become a surefire, walking in, imagine what he could be in the fantasy game. And Etienne, it was kind of a silly pick for the Jaguars there, and he could easily perform, but if he didn't, it would make absolute sense to me because of the presence of James Robinson, and that's really the only reason I have Etienne here on this list.
Okay, I got Alvin Kamara at number 2.
He did shit on purpose.
No Michael Thomas, no Emmanuel Sanders, no Jared Cook, no quarterback. He's going to be overworked, 8 in the box. Everyone's like their whole game plan is going to be to stop him.
All 11 to 41.
He's not going to eat for that reason. It has nothing to do with the fact that he's not one of the best backs in the league. He's going to be the only player on their offense, and that's not going to fare well. Don't waste a fantasy pick on him. Well, you got a 3.
Number 3, DeAndre Swift, another fool's gold pick here. The Lions' offensive line actually is good, 10th overall by Pro Football Focus, which really blew me away. But at the end of the day, when you look at the overwhelmingly horrible amount of talent on that offense with DeAndre Swift, and check it out, Jared Goff only throws to his running backs the last 2 seasons in LA, 10.8% of the time. I don't think he's going to get any dual threat love. And the running is definitely going to be tough for him. I know he's got the good offensive line, but this is a team that's not going to produce a lot offensively. So be aware of DeAndre Swift.
I'm going to go with James Conner at number 3. Their schedule is littered with stout defenses.
With Arizona, right?
Yeah, with Arizona. Kyler Murray is probably going to have more carries than him and will outrush him. It's just not going to work out. James Conner will be a bad pick, even though he's going to a situation that seemingly is good. I wouldn't touch him. Who you got it for?
Number 4, Josh Jacobs. And the reason I say this is because the entire offensive line and Rodney Hudson, Gabe Jackson, Trent Brown, they got let go. And 17 of his 19 career touchdowns while he's been in the NFL are when they are winning. So when they lose, he does not produce a lot. And let's just call it out here. The Raiders are going to lose a lot this year. I don't see a lot of production being there for Josh Jacobs, especially because that offensive line really is just kind of wiped off now. So do beware of Josh Jacobs in your leagues.
Funny, because at 4, I've got Kenyon Drake.
There we go, another Raider.
Simply because he just won't get the snaps. All the carries are going to go to Josh Jacobs. Kenyon Drake is just going to be hey, I need a play. When he taps the top of his head, Kenyon will come in. He's not getting carries. Don't pick him.
Yep.
Who you got at 5?
Number 5, A.J. Dillon. The workload and the production, I feel like, is going to be killed by Aaron Jones. And Aaron Jones is going to be a guy that you do pick in the tier above, like we were just talking about, but he could easily go in the 1 spot as well. And A.J. Dillon, he is a workhorse, and he could easily run between those tackles and be your bell cow back. Now, not in that category, but only 296 rushing yards in his rookie year. So that's not something you necessarily look for. You would expect at least 400 to 500. And Aaron Jones isn't a guy that's going to be a 13, 14, 1,500 yard rusher. So if he's already getting the carries taken away from him, imagine how it's going to play out when this season does come around. I would totally be aware of A.J. Dillon in your fantasy leagues.
My last guy is Myles Gaskin out of Miami. He's running behind Tua Tagovailoa. No defense is scared of him. They're going to bring people up to make sure they stop the run. They're going to dare Tua to beat him. And that's going to be a stat killer for Gaskin. It's not his fault. He's just not going to be able to produce. He won't put up numbers. I mean, they're playing stout defenses within their division. Their schedule is not the easiest for this season. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Leave Myles Gaskin alone because of the quarterback that he's playing behind. So, that will do it for our fantasy football outlook. Quarterbacks and running backs. That's what it looks like. We gave you our top 5 in 3 separate categories for each one of them. Y'all make sure you come back to this thing next week. We're going to cover the wide receivers and the tight ends. So, the fantasy outlook is going to get heated. If you have not yet signed up, make sure you jump in there. Sign up for the Fantasy Football League. Petty Sports. It's on ESPN. The link is already on the Petty Sports Facebook page. We'll drop it again. We got some open slots left for you. Get on in there. Just like we told you, if you get in and you can beat the Petty crew, you'll win some free Petty Sports merch, and we'll bring you on. You can come on via Zoom. If you're actually in the city, you might even drop into the studio, come talk your trash about your W. Granted, you probably won't beat me, but if you do, that's on the table for you. As always, it's been real. We had so much happening. Next week, we got football cranking up, full steam ahead.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the preseason. We'll talk about fantasy. We'll make some predictions. We're going full steam ahead because football season is among us. That's what we live for around here. Spent every single week. We appreciate y'all. Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 to 10. Y'all tune in. Check us out. Like it. Share it. Call the Petty line. We appreciate all y'all to participate in the chat room as well. So, make sure y'all keep tuning in to me. I always appreciate it. I had to say it like 3, 4, 5 times. Just make sure y'all know. So, y'all know how to find me. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. Famous Fees. That's the handle. It's Famous Fees on Cash App as well. So I'm going to throw this thing to Adam. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.
Man, great show tonight. So happy everyone was able to tune in. Appreciate the chat room. No callers, though. Y'all are absolutely crazy. You got to hop in next week because wide receivers, tight ends is going to be crazy. Going to have a lot of people in the chat going off, but call the show. Give us your take. Look, guys, Linktree in every bio. Make sure to sub. Hit the bell. We're always coming with the content. We are pushing on YouTube. Don't stop what you're doing, guys. We will be here next week. Petty Sports out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.